Chapter 751. Although the fight between Li Changsheng and Song Zilin that day had humiliated the Wu-Tang clan, and many disciples of the Wu-Tang clan felt deeply ashamed, Li Changsheng's strength was unquestionable. In fact, although the disciples of the Wu-Tang clan could not put down their faces, they still admired Li Changsheng very much in their hearts. Now, that Li Changsheng was explaining the confusion of martial arts to Bai Ying, the people around could also understand by analogy. After all, everyone's problems in cultivation were similar. Li Changsheng was not a stingy person. In the end, he simply turned the explanation for Bai Ying into a lecture for everyone. Li Changsheng had lived for tens of thousands of years, and he had cultivated from the Grandmaster realm to the mysterious finger realm more than 90 times. Each realm was so solid that it was abnormal. His explanation could often enlighten people with a single sentence. There were even a few people who had spiritual qi in their bodies on the spot, showing signs of breaking through. Even Song Zilin put aside his previous grudges and respectfully asked Li Changsheng for advice. Li Changsheng was not stingy and gave him advice one by one. Suddenly, the disciples of the Wu-Tang clan were intoxicated. When the head of the Wu-Tang clan, Song Zhun, returned and saw this scene, a smile immediately appeared on his face. He was also grateful to Li Changsheng. After about 2 hours of lecture, Li Changsheng stopped talking. Everyone in the Wu-Tang clan began to calm down and digest. At this time, people from many sects arrived one after another. The heads of the various martial arts families and sects gathered together to discuss entering the Zhenwu ruins. After all, there were too many people this time, and it was impossible for everyone to go in. Moreover, everyone knew how dangerous it was inside. If they were not strong enough, they would be courting death if they went in. The Zhenwu ruins will be open for a month each time. According to the speculation of ancestral Master Sanfeng at that time, only 10 people can enter. There are almost 30 martial arts families and sects here this time, so these 10 places still need to be competed. Songshin said, "The Wu-Tang clan was the first to discover the Zhenwu ruins, so we have to take a place first." Song Zhun said, and the other sects had no objections. "How will the remaining 9 spots be decided?" Tong Yuxing asked. "In my opinion, cultivators should speak with their strength. Why don't we fight in the arena and decide who gets the spot?" One of the sect masters suggested. "Good, let's do it." After everyone had finalized the details, they returned to their respective camps and selected the people who would participate in the martial arts competition. Generally, the deans of various sects and aristocratic families would not participate in the Zhenwu ruins. The Zhenwu ruins were extremely dangerous. The deans of various sects and aristocratic families were the foundation of a force. If they died in there, it would be a great loss to the force. Zilin, you, and Bai will participate in the competition for the quota later. The special quota that my Wudong obtained will be given to Bai Ying. Song Zhun instructed. Bai Ying might have decent innate talent, but she was still young and had only reached the peak stage of the innate realm. There were plenty of Vajra realm martial experts present, and it wasn't easy for her to obtain a spot. On the other hand, Bai Yu and Song Zilin were both at the Vajra realm. Apart from the clan heads of the martial arts clans, there weren't many people who could deal with the two of them. Therefore, the two of them had a high chance of obtaining the quota. "Mr. Li, do you want me to help you get a spot?" Song Zhen asked for Li Changsheng's instructions. He knew that with Li Changsheng's current status in the cultivation world, he naturally didn't have to compete for a spot personally. No need. This is unfair to others. Are you planning to compete personally? Song Zhen revealed a bitter smile. If such an expert were to compete personally, whoever encountered Li Changsheng would be unlucky. At this moment, people from various sects arrived one after another. Among them, there were even a few acquaintances of Li Changsheng. Qin Fun, Guoshi, Zhan Hu, and a few others who had met Li Changsheng before were all here. These 3 people were the prodigies of the martial arts clans that appeared once in 100 years. As soon as they appeared, many people took the initiative to greet them and formed a circle that belonged to them. At this moment, another scene attracted everyone's attention. The Heaven Shin sect. The Heaven Shin sect was formed entirely by women, and each of them was as beautiful as a flower. Among them, the newly promoted Heaven Xian Saintess, Luo Ying, was the most dazzling. Sister Luo Ying. When Bai Ying saw Luo Ying, she immediately walked over. Sister Luo Ying, you're so beautifully dressed today. Luo Ying smiled slightly. You have the sweetest mouth. As she spoke, she couldn't help but look behind Bai Ying and saw Li Changsheng in the Wu-Tang sex camp. The last time in the ruins, Li Changsheng's performance was still fresh in her memory. Sister Luo Ying, what are you looking at? Bai Ying blinked her eyes. You can't be looking for Mr. Li, right? Luo Ying's face turned slightly red. The few junior sisters of the Heaven Xian sect beside her revealed a curious look. Sister Bai Ying, what Mr. Li? What does he have to do with our Saintess Luo Ying? Women were all gossipy. Mr. Li is a super expert. Since ancient times, beautiful women have loved heroes. Maybe Sister Luo Ying has already fallen for him. A super expert? How powerful is he? Someone asked. Yeah, could he be stronger than Senior Brother Zidonglai? Senior Brother Zidonglai is the new leader of the White Robe sect. Moreover, he is deeply in love with our Saintess Luo Ying. The women next to her chattered. Bai Ying had obviously heard of Zidonglai's name, but she was still unconvinced. Zidonglai can inherit the position of sect leader at such a young age. He is indeed very powerful. Even my eldest senior brother Song Zeline said that he is no match for him. But that depends on who he is compared to. If he meets Mr. Li, he is nothing. As soon as Bai Ying finished speaking, the group of women suddenly became unconvinced. I heard that there will be a martial arts competition to determine the quota later. Let your Mr. Li fight with our senior brother Donglai. I guarantee that he will lose miserably. That's right. Among the younger generation of the cultivation world, I have never heard of anyone who can be compared to senior brother Donglai. That's enough. Luo Ying interrupted them. She took Bai Ying's hand and sat down. Sister Bai Ying, Mr. Li is indeed very powerful. I have to admit that I may not be able to withstand 2 moves from him. But if he meets senior brother Donglai, he may not be a match for him. Not long ago, senior brother Donglai broke through to the profound finger realm. The profound finger realm is called the human immortal. I'm afraid that Li Changsheng is no match for him. Profound finger realm. Bai Ying suddenly stopped talking. Li Changsheng was indeed very powerful, but she had only seen Li Changsheng defeat those in the Vajra realm. She had never seen Li Changsheng fight with a profound finger realm expert. Moreover, the profound finger realm was a legend in the past. Even she did not dare to say that Li Changsheng could definitely defeat Zidonglai. Senior brother Z is here. At this moment, exclamations came from the crowd. A young man in white strode over, surrounded by a group of junior brothers. He had a graceful bearing and became the center of attention as soon as he appeared. The leader was the new sect master of the White Robe sect, Zidonglai. Each of them was dressed in white. Together with the many women of the Heavenly Jade sect, they formed a beautiful scenery. Every generation of the White Robe sect's holy son and Heavenly Jade sect's holy daughter will be called the Golden Couple by the cultivation world. In fact, many disciples of the White Robe sect marry disciples of the Heavenly Jade sect. The 2 sects had a very deep relationship. Chapter 752. When Zidonglai appeared, many people immediately took the initiative to greet him. His reputation was even higher than the Wu-Tang sect Song Zeline. At such a young age, he was already at the finger profound realm. Even many experts of the older generation had to retreat when they saw him. Moreover, he had now inherited his father's position and became the headmaster of the Wu-Tang sect. Such a young headmaster would be shrouded in an invisible halo wherever he went. However, when facing those who surrounded him to curry favor, he only said a few perfunctory words and then walked towards Luo Ying. Junior sister Luo Ying, long time no see. Zidonglai was polite and gentle like jade. He was the kind of person who gave a very good first impression. Hello, senior brother Donglai. Luo Ying responded with a smile. The other female disciples of the Tianxian sect also took the initiative to surround him. What are you guys chattering about? A middle-aged woman reprimanded. She was the headmaster of the Tianxian sect, spiritual master Ziyan. She had the same surname as Zidonglai, and they were aunt and nephew. Zidonglai's father was Ziyun's brother. The Wu-Tang sect and the Tianxian sect were constantly connected by marriage. Many people in the two sects were relatives. Why isn't your father here? Ziyun looked at Zidonglai with a doting gaze. Her nephew had been outstanding since he was young and was also her pride. If he could marry her disciple, Luo Ying, it would really make their relationship even closer. Father is in seclusion to break through to the finger profound realm. Is that so? Ziyun sighed. This was also the reason why Zidonglai could inherit the position of headmaster. His father was only at the Vajra realm, but he had surpassed his father and had already broken through to the finger profound realm. After all, Ziyun was an elder. After chatting for a while, she went to the side and closed her eyes to rest. Seeing that she didn't speak, the surrounding disciples gradually became bolder and began to chatter again. Senior brother Donglai, sister Baiying, just said that among the people from the Wu-Tang sect, there is someone who is stronger than you. A female disciple blurted out. Is that so? Zidonglai just smiled faintly. Could it be that senior brother Song Zelin has broken through to the finger profound realm? In Zidonglai's heart, among the younger generation, only Song Zelin was qualified to be compared to him. No, it's Mr. Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng. Zidong felt that this name was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't recall where he had heard it from. I heard that in a while. We'll be competing for a spot to enter the Zhenwu ruins. Senior brother Z might as well compete with that surnamed Li. Otherwise, sister Baiying won't be convinced. A female disciple of the Heavenly Jade sect said, Zidonglai was handsome, had a good temperament, and his martial arts were good. Many female disciples in the Heavenly Jade sect had a crush on him. If Zidonglai didn't like Luo Ying, they would have already thrown themselves at him. I don't think it's necessary. There will be many experts from various aristocratic families in this competition. People like Qin Fun, Guo Shi, and the others are all well-known figures in the Vajra realm. Zidong, and not from a big family. If that Li Changsheng mentioned by sister Baiying can win against Qin Fun and the others, then he will be qualified to fight with me. At this point, Zidong's eyes revealed a hint of pride. At this time, as the Wu-Tang sect leader Song Jun went up to the stage, the competition for the slots had officially begun. Every sect had sent out their strongest disciples. A few small sects, and even the sect leaders, had personally participated in the competition. The competition was very intense. Soon, a few slots were determined. Song Zelin and Baiyu of the Wu-Tang sect had each obtained a slot. Including the one who was asked for previously, the Wu-Tang sect had taken up 3 slots. The competition for the remaining 7 slots was intense. Mr. Li, when are you going to fight? Song Jun looked at Li Changsheng next to him. There were many experts who had yet to fight. The competition for the remaining slots would naturally become more intense. If Li Changsheng stayed until the end, then whoever met him would be unlucky. There's no hurry. Li Changsheng smiled faintly. At this time, another 3 slots had been snatched away. There are only 4 slots left. I'll do it. At this time, a figure walked up to the stage. It was a lean man, but he caused an uproar just by standing there. It was because he was different from the people in the previous rounds. In the previous rounds, those with the highest seniority were only the sect leaders. However, he was a grand elder of sect, and he was almost 120 years old. Even the Wu-Tang sect leader had to greet him as a junior. Cui Yuanhua? Why is he on the stage? Song Jun shook his head. Although everyone was surprised, it was easy to understand. Cui Yuanhua's lifespan was reaching its end. Even if he didn't explore the ruins, he wouldn't be able to live for long. If he entered the ruins to obtain resources, he might be able to break through and extend his lifespan. It was definitely worth a gamble. As soon as Cui Yuanhua got on the stage, he immediately fell into silence. No one dared to challenge him. His seniority was too high, and he had lived for so long. He wasn't weak either. Not only would it be difficult to win on the stage, but he would also be known as someone who didn't know how to respect his elders. This elder Cui is already so old, but he still wants to fight for a slot with a junior. There were only 4 slots left, and one of them was taken by him. Everyone should be anxious now. Although the slots were all fought for, it was more or less decided. After all, there were only a few powerful people in each sect, and Cui Yuanhua was a variable. Since no one wants to challenge me, this slot belongs to me. Cui Yuanhua laughed and was about to get off the stage. Wait a minute. At this moment, a voice sounded. Since no one wants to challenge you, I'll do it. Li Changsheng also felt that with his current status in the cultivation world, it would be beneath him to challenge those junior disciples. This Cui Yuanhua happened to be what he wanted. Who is it? Everyone looked around. Cui Yuanhua's seniority was extremely high, and it required a lot of courage to challenge him. When they saw Li Changsheng, they were puzzled. Who is this young man? Why haven't I seen him before? He walked out from Wudong's camp. Could he be a new disciple of Wudong? He's that Mr. Li, Luo Ying said to Zi Donglai, who was beside her. Judging from his ordinary aura, he probably thinks that Elder Cui is old and weak, so he wants to take advantage of the situation. Unfortunately, he's wrong. Elder Cui may be old, but he's not weak at all. I'm afraid he'll lose miserably. Zi Donglai commented indifferently. Senior brother Donglai is right. This guy doesn't know how to respect his elders at all. If he wants to be in the limelight now, he'll definitely regret it later. The female disciples of Heavenly Jade sect idolized Zi Donglai to the point of blindness. Zi Donglai's words were the truth. Bai Ying wanted to refute, but she knew that she couldn't win against everyone with her mouth. She just clenched her little hands tightly, hoping that Li Changsheng would defeat Cui Yuanhua and make her proud. Chapter 756. Not far from the entrance to the Jinwu ruins, a group of people were eagerly watching Zi Donglai, who was standing at the array and studying it. At that time, Zi Donglai had boasted that he could break the array in less than an hour. Now, a full 5 hours had passed, and the array was still unresponsive. During this time, Zi Donglai had made several mistakes and was sent flying again. At this moment, his face was covered in dust, and he was no longer as calm and graceful as before. Senior brother Z can't really break the array, right? Are we going to be stuck here and can't even step into the ruins? If I knew this would happen, I would have followed Li Changsheng. Senior brother Z is a little unreliable. People were whispering to each other. Although their voices were very low, Zi Donglai's ears were sharp enough to hear them clearly. His face couldn't help but turn purple, and his heart was incomparably sullen. He had studied array formations a lot, and thought that since Li Changsheng could break it so easily, he wouldn't have to spend much effort either. But now, it seemed that things were different from what he had imagined. Why is this array so difficult to break? What if I can never break it? Thinking of this possibility, Zi Donglai felt very uncomfortable in his heart. This was a great loss of face. Inside the ruins, looking at the excited crowd, Li Changsheng opened his mouth and said, "This hall is full of danger, but it is also where the most important opportunity lies. You can decide whether to go in or not. If you go in, you will most likely die, and I can't guarantee your safety. If you don't go in, it will be a wasted trip." After saying this, Li Changsheng gave them time to think while he quickly walked towards the statue of the god. He walked to the bottom of the pillar and took a step forward. His body rose to the same height as the statue, and he placed his hand on it to feel carefully. There's nothing? Li Changsheng furrowed his brows. Last time at the Wu-Tang Sect's martial arts square, he could feel that there was something unusual about the black tortoise statue from a distance. But today, he had used all his methods, but there was no reaction from the statue. Is this just a simple statue that doesn't contain any opportunity? Li Changsheng walked around the statue and touched it. In the distance, Luo Ying and the others widened their eyes. "What is Mr. Li doing?" Bai Ying asked. "He seems to be touching the stone. What kind of hobby is this?" Luo Ying had a strange look on her face. "Since I can't sense any opportunities inside, this statue can't just be a decoration." Thinking of this, Li Changsheng suddenly raised his hand and slammed it down on the statue. Rumble. With this palm strike, the entire ground began to tremble. "It's over." That is the statue of great Emperor Zhenwu. Mr. Li is actually destroying the statue. This time, he has angered great Emperor Zhenwu. Luo Ying, Song Zilin, and the others were terrified. Wudong Mountain had worshipped Zhenwu, the great emperor, for generations. Yet Li Changsheng was disrespectful to the statue. This was something they could not imagine. Mr. Li, stop. Mr. Li, you can't. Song Zilin, Bai Yu, and Bai Ying spoke at the same time. Li Changsheng, however, turned a deaf ear to it. He raised his fist and smashed it down again. Bang! Amidst the deafening sound, the statue of God split open from the middle, turning into countless tiny stones that fell to the ground. Song Zilin and the others, who were planning to approach the pillar, quickly retreated when they saw the flying stones. Is there really nothing? Li Changsheng furrowed his brows. At this moment, he kicked the remaining stones to the side. What's this? He suddenly noticed that one of the stones was a little different. He reached out and picked it up to blow off the dust on it. It turned out to be a palm-sized dark seal. The seal was engraved with the image of a black tortoise entwined by a tortoise and a snake. Below it were a few ancient words that even Li Changsheng did not recognize. There really is something. Li Changsheng's face lit up with joy. He put away the seal first, thinking that he would slowly study it after leaving the ruins. Mr. Li seems to have found something. So he's not crazy, but he destroyed the statue of great Emperor Zhenwu. What if great Emperor Zhenwu blames us? Bai Ying and the others frowned. Luo Ying's eyes were shining. Who would have thought that there was something hidden in the stone statue? There should have been something on the stone pillar opposite great Emperor Zhenwu in the past, but it seems to have been taken away by someone. Song Zilin suddenly said, could it be the black tortoise statue on the martial arts field of our Wu-Tang sect? If there is something in the statue, could there be treasure in the black tortoise statue? Bai Yu and the others' eyes lit up. Li Changsheng could not help but shake his head, thinking to himself, there is a treasure, but it has long been in my hands. Okay, let's start entering the palace now. Li Changsheng greeted them and stepped into the main hall. As soon as they entered the main hall, everyone present was dumbfounded. What appeared in front of them was a vast starry sky. In the innermost part of the starry sky, a towering statue of great Emperor Zhenwu stood tall. It was an enlarged version of the statue of great Emperor Zhenwu. This arcane realm opens once every 3 years. Those who are fated to enter this hall, to listen to the teachings, and comprehend the Tao are all descendants of great Emperor Zhenwu. A loud voice resounded in everyone's ears. Before anyone could react, a white-haired old man appeared under the statue and began to preach. He was talking about a martial art called Great Emperor Zhenwu, which was extremely profound. Everyone present immediately sat cross-legged and began to listen carefully. At first, they could barely keep up, but later on, the lecture became more and more profound. Suddenly, Bai Yu let out a scream and held his head. The aura on his body was chaotic, and he was about to explode at any time. What's going on? The few people who were listening to the lecture were alarmed. It turned out that the Tao was too profound, and Bai Yu wanted to forcefully comprehend it, but went astray. All the meridians in his body flowed in reverse, and his body was about to explode. Li Changsheng shook his head and slapped out, sending Bai Yu flying out of the palace door. At the same time, Li Changsheng finally understood why after Zhang Sanfeng went out, so many experts of the Wu-Tang sect did not make it out alive. There were no killing formations in here, but great Emperor Zhenwu's teachings were extremely profound, and no one wanted to miss it. Even if they could not comprehend it, they had to forcefully comprehend it. In the end, it was inevitable that they would end up exploding and dying. It was the result of greed. Li Changsheng shook his head and continued to listen. After some time, Bai Ying suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Why aren't you leaving? Do you want to be like your brother? Li Changsheng reprimanded when he saw that Bai Ying wanted to continue. Li Changsheng shook his head. Bai Ying's body trembled. In the end, he bowed to Li Changsheng and left the hall. Her aptitude was obviously better than her brother's, and her temperament was also stronger than her brother's. A few days later, Song Zeline spat out a mouthful of blood and left the hall silently. With Bai Yu as an example, they had all learned their lesson. What surprised Li Changsheng was that after another 10 days, Luo Ying spat out blood and left. In terms of aptitude and comprehension, she was even stronger than Song Zilin. After they all left, Li Changsheng listened to the lecture with peace of mind. Outside the hall, Song Zilin and the others looked envious when they saw Luo Ying come out. It was obvious that Luo Ying had obtained a greater opportunity this time. Junior sister Luo Ying, although you are a disciple of the Heavenly Jade Sect, you have obtained the inheritance of great Emperor Zhenwu. In the future, you can be considered as a member of the Wu-Tang sect. Song Zilin cupped his hands and said, Luo Ying's aptitude was better than his, which meant that her future achievements would be greater than his. With this relationship, the Wu-Tang sect would have a powerful ally in the future. Of course. Luo Ying nodded. I wonder if Mr. Li can finish listening to the great Emperor Zhenwu's lecture. When Taoist San Feng founded the Wu-Tang sect, he said that the inheritance he obtained was incomplete. I wonder how much Mr. Li can get. They waited here. In the outside world, many things had happened in half a month. On the third day, the passage to the ruins opened again, but no one came out. The ruins are full of danger. I wonder what the situation inside is like. Tong Yuxing sighed. Zidonglai is a profound realm expert. Even many of us of the older generation are inferior to him. With him leading the team, we can definitely pass all the trials and protect everyone. Ziyin said with a little pride. Zidonglai was her nephew, and she thought highly of him. They will be divided into 2 teams. Zidonglai's team will definitely be fine, but I don't know if the Wu-Tang sect can come out unscathed. However, I think the nephews of the Wu-Tang sect are reasonable people. They will definitely ask Zidonglai to join their team. Hearing Ziyun's words, Song Zhen shook his head. I don't think so. Although Zidonglai is strong, our Wu-Tang sect has a trump card. Song Zhen was naturally referring to Li Changsheng. Is that so? Ziyun curled her lips in disdain. I got a treasure in my early years that can survey the scene from 100 miles away. Although I can't break the formation in the Great Emperor ruins, I can take advantage of the opening of the gate to see the scene nearby. Taoist Ziyun said. Then please use your magic, Taoist Ziyun. We are very curious about the ruins. Okay. Ziyun nodded. She took out a small bronze mirror and threw it into the air. In an instant, the scene inside the ruins appeared on the mirror. However, because there was a formation in front of them, they could only see the scene when they first entered the ruins. The 8 crossroads should represent the 8 gates of life and death in the 8 trigrams. If you want to enter, this is the first obstacle. Because Song Zhen had some records left by Zhang Sanfeng, he knew the situation inside better than others. There seemed to be several figures at the 8 entrances. Someone in the crowd exclaimed. Chapter 757. It can't be. Haven't they broken the formation after 3 days? Whispers could be heard from the crowd. The crowd thought that those who went to explore the relic should have already reached the deepest part of the relic, but now they saw them still lingering at the entrance. They must be disciples of the Wudong sect. My nephew Zidonglai is proficient in formations. It should be easy for him to break the formation. Reverend Zi Yin said proudly. Really? Song Zhen stroked his beard with a faint smile. His son Song Zilin and his 2 disciples were indeed not proficient in formations, but their leader was very powerful. Reverend Ziyun, I think you'd better wait until the picture is clear before making a conclusion. Is there a need to make it clear? Isn't it obvious? Reverend Ziyun said. When the picture got closer, Reverend Ziyun's face darkened. She clearly saw her nephew Zidonglai sitting there with a frown on his face. As for Li Changsheng and the people of the Wudong sect, they were nowhere to be seen. How is this possible? Reverend Ziyun's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The crowd also had a look of disbelief on their faces. Could it be that Zidonglai, who is proficient in formations, failed to break the formation? Did the people of the Wudong sect enter it instead? The 8 paths of the Zhenwu relic are arranged according to the 8 gates of life and death. Donglai must be trying to determine which gate is the gate of life and which gate is the gate of death. With his strength, he should be able to break the formation. He is just being cautious. On the other hand, the Wudong sect rashly entered the gate of death. If they entered the gate of death, I'm afraid they are now dead. Reverend Zi Yun said sarcastically. Her words made Song Jun so angry that he wanted to go up and slap her. What did she mean by the Wudong sect being dead? Wasn't she cursing his son and disciple? However, he soon suppressed his anger and sneered. Reverend Zi Yun, it's too early to say that. What gate of life and death? I think Zi Donglai can't break the formation. Seeing that the two were about to quarrel, the other leaders of the aristocratic families hurried over to persuade them. Amidst the chaos, the open passage closed again. Another 3 days passed. Under the expectation of the leaders, the two mountains slowly moved away. Reverend Ziyun, take out the copper mirror again and see if Zi Donglai and the others have broken the formation. Even if they are considering it, 3 days is already long enough. They can't be considering it today, right? Song Jun said with a mocking expression. Today, my nephew must have broken the formation and entered inside. Although she said that, Reverend Zi Yin still took out the small copper mirror. The scene inside the mirror appeared before everyone's eyes once again. Then, there were still a few figures at the 8th intersection. Immortal Zi Yun's face darkened. It seems that Zi Donglai really can't break the array, ha ha. Ha! Songjin couldn't help but laugh. On the 9th day, the ruins opened once again. The result was as expected. Zidong and the others were still pacing back and forth at the entrance of the 8 arrays. Moreover, from the looks of it, Zidong's clothes were tattered and tattered. It was likely that he had suffered a lot. The surrounding team members were also frowning. Songjun could not help but laugh out loud. What's so funny about sect leader Song? Perhaps it's the best choice that Donglai and the others did not enter. How many people can come out alive after entering the ruins? This shows that the heavens favor Donglai. It's the will of the heavens that won't let them die in vain. When Reverend Ziyun said this, Song Jun could not laugh. Others might not know, but how could he not know? Many experts of the Wu-Tang sect had entered the ruins and died inside. Since ancient times, only Reverend Sanfeng had been able to come out alive. Although Li Changsheng was leading the team this time, and Li Changsheng's strength was terrifying, and he was the strongest person in the world, could he be more powerful than Reverend Sanfeng? At this moment, Song Jun's mood became heavy. Reverend Ziyun, it seems that your disciple has also entered. Aren't you cursing your own disciple? Song Jun said coldly. Reverend Ziyun was speechless. Yes, her nephew Zidonglai had not entered the ruins, but her beloved disciple had. If the people of the Wu-Tang sect could not come out, could her disciple come out? At this moment, no one could laugh. The atmosphere became heavy. The 12th day, the 15th day, time passed day by day. At the entrance of the ruins, Zidonglai sat on a stone dispiritedly. He was too lazy to study the formation. He could not pass anyway. The others were also frowning. They began to regret not choosing to follow the Wu-Tang sect's camp. I think the people of the Wu-Tang sect will die if they go in. They might not be able to come out alive. Lu Yu said sarcastically. If they could not eat grapes, they would say that the grapes were sour. If they could not enter, they would want all the people of the Wu-Tang sect to die inside. However, Zidonglai turned around and glared at her gloomily. He did not care if others died or not, but his beloved Miss Luo Ying could not die inside. Lu Yu seemed to have guessed that there was something wrong with her tone and obediently shut her mouth. Inside the ruins, Luo Ying and the others were also waiting. A few more days passed, but there was still no news from Li Changsheng. Mr. Li can't be addicted to it, right? Luo Ying said worriedly. Next to her, Bai Ying shook his head directly. Impossible. Mr. Li's will is very strong. If it were not for Mr. Li, we would have forcefully comprehended the Tao technique and would have died inside. By the way, who is this Mr. Li? Why do I feel that sect leader Song Jun is very polite to him? Luo Ying asked the doubts in her heart. Indeed, Li Changsheng was so young, but he could be on equal footing with the Wu-Tang sect leader Song Jun. Luo Ying was very curious about his identity. However, the people of the Wu-Tang sect had not said anything, and she was too embarrassed to ask. After a few days of getting along, she and Song Zeline had become familiar with each other. It could be said that they had experienced life and death together. So this question naturally came out of her mouth. Mr. Li is the strongest in the world, the #1 person in the cultivation world. A few days ago, he defeated the gold-armored patriarch of the water-repellent golden-eyed beasts. My father said that he is already a half-step Earth Immortal. If not for some reason, it is very likely that he is the only person who can achieve the Earth Immortal body after Daoist Sanfeng in 500 years. Song Zeline did not hide Li Changsheng's identity. He did not say it before because Li Changsheng did not take the initiative to mention it, so they did not say much. Half-step Earth Immortal? Luo Ying's mouth opened slightly, feeling a little shocked. Although Li Changsheng had shown terrifying combat strength in recent battles, not many people knew his name because he rose too quickly. Only a few people in the Wu-Tang sect knew his name, and the others only vaguely heard some rumors. There were too many rumors in the cultivation world, and it was difficult to distinguish whether they were true or false. Few people cared. A few days ago, I happened to hear that a supreme expert was born in the cultivation world. At that time, I didn't take it seriously and thought that it was a rumor. I didn't expect it to be true. Luo Ying looked in the direction of the main hall. If such a powerful Li Changsheng obtained the complete inheritance of Jinwu Great Emperor, wouldn't his future achievements be higher than that of Daoist Sanfeng? Chapter 758. Inside the true martial hall, Li Changsheng's body shook the moment the white-haired old man uttered the last word. Then the entire hall shook. The old man looked at Li Changsheng meaningfully, then turned into countless streams of light and disappeared from sight. The true martial immortal sect has been passed down for 30,000 years. Today, we finally have a successor. My mission is complete. A voice resounded from all directions. Li Changsheng only felt his body shake, and then he appeared outside the hall. Then, the entire true martial hall collapsed. The true martial Taiji scripture. In Li Changsheng's mind, the profound meaning of the Taiji scripture flowed continuously. The most fundamental cultivation method of the true martial immortal sect was the true martial Taiji scripture. It was also the core inheritance of the true martial immortal sect. In addition to the Taiji scripture and the God-slaying scripture, the true martial immortal sect had 7 other scriptures. Unfortunately, they were not left behind. Mr. Li, how are you? Mr. Li, are you all right? When they saw Li Changsheng suddenly appear, they hurriedly asked, I'm fine. Li Changsheng slowly stood up from the ground, then bowed to the true martial hall from afar. The true martial Taiji scripture was a cultivation method that pointed directly to the great Tao. Li Changsheng could be considered the successor of the true martial immortal sect since he had obtained its inheritance. Let's go. The opportunity in this ruin has disappeared. From now on, there will be no more true martial ruins. Li Changsheng led by Ying and the others outside. Not long after they left, the entire ruin began to slowly collapse. At the entrance, Zidonglai and the others were frowning. Suddenly, they saw a door in front of them shining brilliantly. Then Li Changsheng and the others strode out. Everyone had a smile on their faces. This time, although the others did not obtain as much inheritance as Li Changsheng, at least everyone had obtained an opportunity. However, in the eyes of Zidonglai and the others, their smiles were undoubtedly the greatest mockery. Yo, isn't this the Eastern Sect Master? Why, didn't you break the array? Song Zeline asked deliberately. Zidonglai's face suddenly darkened. Let's go, we should get out. Li Changsheng said faintly and walked towards the exit. Wait a minute. At this moment, Zidonglai suddenly stood up and said, I'm sure you've gained quite a bit from the ruins. Look at us, we've also entered the ruins, but we didn't gain anything. Shouldn't you share some of the opportunities you've gained with us? When Zidong's words came out, everyone present was stunned. When it came to opportunities, everyone relied on their own luck. There was no reason to share with others. Zidonglai, aren't you ashamed to say such words? You don't have the ability to enter the ruins, so why should we share our opportunities with you? Song Zilin sneered. Because I'm stronger than you. Zedong suddenly took a step forward as a fierce aura spread out from his body. Hand over the cultivation methods and opportunities you obtained inside. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. Hearing Zedong's words, everyone's expression changed. Zedong Lai, do you know that you'll become the target of public criticism if you do this? It doesn't matter. The entrance has just closed, and there are still 3 days before it opens again. The people outside can't see what's inside. If you don't hand over your opportunities, I'll kill all of you. Since no one has been able to leave the Jinwu ruins alive before, no one can say anything if you die. As soon as Zedong Lai finished speaking, even Luo Ying, who had a good impression of him, showed disgust in her eyes. There is actually such a shameless villain in the world. Zedong Lai, listen to my advice. You'd better give up this unrealistic idea. You'll only ruin yourself. Luo Ying said coldly. The inheritance in the Jinwu ruins created an expert like Zhang Sanfeng, and I, Zedong Lai, am a martial arts genius that only appears once in 100 years. If I get the inheritance, I'll soon be able to leave like Zhang Sanfeng. Martial cultivators pursue the peak of martial arts. Zedong Lai's expression was a little deranged. Among all of you, the strongest is only Song Zilin, who is at the peak of the Vajra realm. So, hand over the inheritance obediently. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. Hearing Zedong Lai's words, Lu Yu and the others hesitated for a moment before standing behind Zedong Lai. Obviously, they were planning to join in as well. Haha, Zedong Lai's face was even more smug. Originally, I wasn't confident in dealing with the 4 of you. Now, you're all dead for sure. As he spoke, he looked at Li Changsheng. Kid, I'll start with you. Hand over the cultivation technique, or die. I don't know who gave you the confidence. Li Changsheng shook his head and said to Song Zilin and the others behind him, let's continue. Ignore them. As he spoke, he was about to take a step forward. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Zedong Lai took a step forward and his body turned into an afterimage as he rushed towards Li Changsheng. Kid, I've long found you an eyesore. Now die for me. Zedong Lai held a long sword in his hand, which was flickering with cold light. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Humans, you won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Li Changsheng had obtained the inheritance of the true martial immortal sect and was in a good mood. He was too lazy to bother with such a small character. However, if the other party insisted on provoking him, then he was not some pushover. When the sharp sword was about to pierce his body, he gently raised 2 fingers, and the sword was accurately sandwiched between his 2 fingers. Bang! Zedong Lai's movements came to an abrupt halt as a look of disbelief appeared on his face. Using only 2 fingers to catch his sword, this was simply unimaginable. I don't believe you're so strong. Zedong Lai wanted to pull the sword out, but after a few tries, he found that the sword seemed to have grown together with Li Changsheng's fingers. It was impossible to pull it out. In my eyes, you're just a piece of trash. Li Changsheng coldly snorted as he gently exerted force with his fingers. With a kacha sound, the sword broke into several pieces. In the next moment, Li Changsheng suddenly raised his hand and slammed it towards Zedong Lai. Boom! The palm was light at first, but the moment it came into contact with Zedong Lai's body, it let out a thunderous roar. In the next second, Zedong Lai was directly sent flying and landed more than 10 meters away, spitting out blood continuously from his mouth. With your level, you want to steal my opportunity? Li Changsheng walked step by step to Zedong Lai's side, then grabbed his hair and pulled his face up. He raised his hand and slapped him more than 10 times. Zedong Lai's handsome face was badly mutilated. Okay, now you should be on your way. Li Changsheng released his hand from Zedong Lai's head and raised his foot to stomp on Zedong Lai. Mr. Li, please have mercy. Luo Ying saw Li Changsheng's murderous intent and hurriedly said. Although she despised Zedong Lai's character, the Heavenly Spiral sect and the White Robe sect have been on good terms for generations, especially since Zedong Lai was her master's nephew. However, Li Chongqing did not stop because of Luo Ying's voice, and his foot continued to stomp mercilessly. His foot landed. Zi Donglai's body directly exploded from the middle in all directions. He did not even have time to scream before his body was smashed into pieces. Whoosh! A cool breeze blew, bringing with it the smell of blood. Everyone fell silent. At this moment, rumble. The ground rumbled. The portal that was supposed to open in 3 days was completely opened with the movement of the two mountains. Since the true martial ruins had been destroyed, there was naturally no time for it to open. Outside the ruins, Song Zhen looked at Ziyun and said, "Sect leader Ziyun, I guess your nephew is still loitering around the entrance? How is that possible? Donglai will definitely be able to break the array." Ziyun said coldly, but she was obviously not so sure. "Let's use my magic mirror to see the situation inside." Ziyun took out the mirror again, and the scene at the entrance appeared in front of everyone. "The portal is open. Let's get out quickly." When Lu Yu and the others saw that Zi Donglai had been stomped to death by Li Chongsheng, they hurriedly fled outside, not daring to fight for the opportunity. "You want to leave? Just now, all of you had the intention to make a move." Li Chongqing's eyes turned cold as he grabbed the person closest to him. That person was an expert from an aristocratic clan who had reached the Vajra realm. Unfortunately, under Li Chongqing's palm, he fell to the ground with a single slap. His heart meridian was shattered, and he lost his life before he could even utter a word. And you guys, only Lu Yu and the other two were left. When they saw this scene, they were scared out of their wits and ran outside desperately. However, how could their speed be faster than Li Chongsheng? Soon enough, one of them was caught by Li Chongsheng and had his skull crushed with a single slap. The remaining two had already rushed to the entrance of the ruins. Just as they were smiling, one of them had his neck grabbed by Li Chongsheng and was crushed. The last one was Lu Yu. She was struck on the back by Li Chongsheng and was sent flying out of the ruins. Spiritual Master Ziyun, who had just taken out the mirror, was about to cast a spell to see the situation inside. Suddenly, she saw a figure drawing an arc like a kite with a broken string and landing at her feet. It was Lu Yu. "What's going on?" Spiritual Master Ziyun was stunned for a few seconds and asked loudly, "Li Chongsheng, he is a devil." Lu Yu just said a few words when she fell to the ground and stopped breathing. The other sect masters were also panicking. Sect Master Ziyun, quickly take a look and see what happened inside. Ziyun nodded. She formed a hand seal and sent it into the copper mirror. She saw the collapsing valley and Li Chongsheng and the others running out quickly. However, she did not see her nephew, Zi Donglai. Where is Zi Donglai? The scene continued to go deeper. Soon, corpses appeared in everyone's sight. That's Golden Hoop. He is also dead. And Wang Liang. The faces of the heads of the aristocratic clans changed. The person on the ground seems to be wearing Zi Donglai's clothes. Someone saw the scene in the innermost part of the ruins and exclaimed. Spiritual Master Ziyun's body swayed a few times, and her eyes instantly turned red. "Donglai, my nephew." Chapter 759. Looking at the scene inside, the atmosphere outside was gloomy and gloomy. Including Zi Donglai, Li Chongqing had killed a total of 5 people. These 5 people were the future successors of various martial arts families. Murderous auras rose from the outside. "Li Chongsheng, I'm going to kill you." Sage Ziyun gritted her teeth and said. At the same time, the family heads of other martial arts families also stood out. Jin family head Jin Yoji, Long family head Long Guangda, Wang family head Wang Xian, and the sect master of Heart Refining Sect, Chen Nan. As soon as Li Chongsheng and the others walked out, they were surrounded by countless figures. Their eyes were fixed on him with hatred. Li Chongsheng was not surprised by this. Zi Donglai and the others had died in his hands. It would be strange if these elders did not kill him. "Boy, you're so cruel. Did Donglai and the others offend you? How could you kill them all?" Sage Ziyun looked at Li Chongsheng with hatred. "I'm not cruel. It's Zi Donglai who was cruel first. He wanted to rob us of our opportunity. Why? Only he can deal with me, but I can't kill him?" Nonsense. Donglai is not that kind of person. Even if Donglai did that, you should just teach him a lesson. How could you kill him? The sword in Reverend Yun's hand had already left its scabbard, and her aura was constantly rising. Master, senior brother Donglai is indeed at fault. Although Mr. Li is wrong to kill, I think you should calm down. Luo Ying hurriedly advised. She already knew Li Changxing's identity. Although her master was strong, she would only be courting death if she went against Li Changxing. Luo Ying, you traitor. How could you side with an outsider at this time? Sage Ziyun waved her hand, and a transparent palm slapped Luo Ying's face. Luo Ying fell to the ground. Li Changxing, if I don't kill you today, I swear I'm not human. Immortal Ziyun took a step forward. A sect leader next to him walked up to Song Zhen and asked in a low voice, Sect leader Song, this Li Changxing has a close relationship with your Wu-Tang sect. I'm afraid that your Wu-Tang sect will also be implicated by him after getting into such a big trouble this time. In response, Song Zhen just smiled faintly. Mr. Li won't drag us down. On the contrary, our Wu-Tang clan needs to rely on him. Sect leader Song, are you that confident in this Li guy? You must know that even though he was able to kill Zi Donglai and possessed great strength, the people he was facing were the heads of 3 aristocratic families, a headmaster of a sect, and Reverend Ziyun, a finger-profound realm expert. An ordinary finger-profound realm martial artist is merely an ant in Mr. Li's eyes. Hearing Song Zhen's words, the other party could not help but shake his head, feeling that Song Zhen was simply unreasonable. At this moment, Jin Yoji, who had the worst temper, couldn't help but attack Li Changxing. His son had always been his pride. In order to nurture his son, he had put in a lot of effort. Now that his son had died in the hands of Li Changxing, he couldn't wait to tear Li Changxing into pieces. Go to hell. Jin Yoji's palm flickered with a red glow with a scorching aura. Trash. Li Changxing didn't even turn his head. With a casual wave of his sleeve, Jin Yoji flew back at an even faster speed. Before his body landed on the ground, it exploded from the middle and turned into a cloud of blood mist. So powerful, the onlookers were dumbfounded. Although Jin Yoji had not reached the finger-profound realm, he was still at the peak of the Vajra realm. Yet, he couldn't even withstand a single blow. The crowd, who were originally aggressive and wanted to kill Li Changxing for revenge, actually hesitated at this moment. Although they were hesitating, Li Changxing didn't hesitate at all. He charged straight at Reverend Ziyun, who was the strongest among them. With a wave of his hand, he slapped Reverend Ziyun's face. In the next second, Reverend Ziyun flew more than 10 meters away and landed on the ground with her head down. The crowd quieted down. Reverend Ziyun was at the finger-profound realm. Yet, she couldn't withstand a single blow. And you guys, Li Changxing looked at the remaining 3 family heads and their family members. Oh no, run. Almost the same thought appeared in everyone's mind. Li Changxing was too terrifying. They couldn't see any hope of victory. However, just as they took a step forward, they saw Li Changxing stomping on the ground. Energy turned into ripples and spread out in all directions. One by one, figures were sent flying from the ground. They flew high into the sky and then fell back down. This move alone caused more than 20 people, including a few family heads of martial arts families, to be seriously injured. Kid, I'll make you pay for what you did to me today, one day. Long Guangda stomped on the ground and flew into the distance. In the next second, Li Changxing's body turned into a shadow. He grabbed Long Guangda's ankle and pulled him back. Then he lifted his foot and stomped on Long Guangda's head, smashing it into pieces. The remaining 2 experts, Wang Xian and Chun Nan, were stunned. For a moment, they didn't know whether to run or fight. However, Li Changxing didn't give them much time to think. He took out the Ardent Dragon Spear and pierced through Wang Xian's chest. Wang Xian was shaken into a bloody mist. Then he smashed Shen Nan's head with the spear and blew it up. In the end, only the seriously injured Reverend Ziyun was left. Li Changxing walked toward Ziyun step by step. Ziyun's face was filled with despair. No one had expected Li Changsheng to be so powerful and cruel. "Mr. Li, please show mercy and spare my master's life." At this moment, Luo Ying stood in front of Li Changsheng. "If I spare your master's life, I'm afraid she'll live in hatred for the rest of her life. Even if she can't kill me, she'll choose to attack my family and friends." Li Changsheng said coldly. He had no intention of stopping. "Master, tell Mr. Li that you won't." Luo Ying looked at Reverend Ziyan. However, Reverend Ziyan just stared at Li Changsheng with hatred and said viciously, "Mr. Li, if I don't die, I'll take revenge on you even if I have to go to the ends of the earth. I'll send everyone related to you to hell with my own hands." People say that it's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. You can't even bear it for a while. How can I not kill you? Li Changsheng waved his hand, and Luo Ying felt a strong force. She felt her body being moved to the side. "No!" She let out a cry of surprise. Li Changsheng had already hit Reverend Ziyan's head with his palm. This sect leader was also a famous figure in the world of cultivation. Blood flowed out of his 7 orifices, and he fell to the ground. His eyes were still filled with hatred even when he died. This was probably what it meant to die with grievances. "Let's go." Li Changsheng looked at Song Zhen, the sect leader, and said, "I still have some things to ask you." Okay. Although he knew that Li Changsheng was powerful, Song Zhen still felt his heart beating faster at this moment. He didn't dare to look into Li Changsheng's eyes. The people of the Wu-Tang sect left with complicated thoughts. The place was filled with cries. In fact, Li Changsheng was already merciful. If he didn't remove the roots, they would grow again when spring came. Originally, he should have wiped out these sects and families. Chapter 760. Where did Taoist Sanfeng go after coming out of the Jinwu relic? After leaving the Jinwu relic and returning to the Wudong sect, Li Changsheng sat in the reception hall of the Wudong sect and looked at the sect master, Song Zhen. Although he had gained a lot from entering the Jinwu relic, the only regret Li Changsheng had was that he couldn't find a way to leave this world. Do I really have to break through the void and leave? Not to mention the endless turbulence in the void, the powerful astral winds are very likely to make me lose my way. There are also all kinds of experts who may not be kind to the people of this world. Taoist Sanfeng left the Wudong sect and went overseas. It didn't take long for the news of him breaking through the void to leave. I don't know where exactly he went, but according to the clues, I can speculate that he may have gone to the Three Immortal Island. Three Immortal Island? The so-called Three Immortal Island refer to the 3 islands of Yingzhou, Fangzhong, and Plunglai. These 3 islands had always existed in the myths of China. Back then, Emperor Qin sent the warlock Su Fu to take 500 virgin boys and 500 virgin girls to go overseas to seek the immortal art from the Three Immortal Island. Unfortunately, Su Fu never returned, and the Three Immortal Island became a legend. However, all cultivators knew that the Three Immortal Island was real. In the depths of the sea, there were sometimes successors who walked in the world to gain experience. I just don't know which island Taoist Sanfeng finally found the secret to leaving this world. Li Changsheng sighed. The so-called Three Immortal Island was the general name of the 3 immortal islands, each of which represented an ancient inheritance. I came from the sea, so it seems that I have to return to the sea. Li Changsheng and Song Zhen bade farewell and left the Wudong Mountain. Bai Ying, Song Zilin, and the others were originally going to send Li Changsheng off, but Li Changsheng didn't greet them. By the time they knew that Li Changsheng had left, Li Changsheng had already left the Wudong Mountain. At the foot of the Wudong Mountain, Li Changsheng sneered. He could feel several auras secretly spying on him. Li Changsheng had killed 5 masters in the true martial ruins. These masters all had their own sects behind them. Li Changsheng had been merciful and hadn't killed them all. But now, it seemed that he was wrong. These people have been waiting at the foot of Wudong Mountain for a long time. They know my strength, but they still dare to attack. I'm afraid they have something to rely on. With this in mind, Li Changsheng was not in a hurry to get rid of these people who were monitoring him. Instead, he leisurely took a taxi to the nearby city and checked in at a hotel. At night, he stood in front of the bright floor-to-ceiling windows of the hotel and looked down at the scenery 30 floors below. The neon lights flickered, and the scenery was magnificent. But in Li Changxing's eyes, there was an aura full of cold, killing intent hibernating. A total of 23 experts, and all of them are at the Vajra realm and above. There are even 2 at the Finger Profound realm. It seems like these martial arts aristocratic families are quite capable. They really think highly of me, Li Changsheng, by dispatching such a group. When he woke up the next morning, there were no assassins trying to assassinate him. It seemed like these people were still waiting, but he did not know what they were waiting for. Since these people are not in a hurry to make a move, I will take the opportunity to stroll around this beautiful city. After Li Changsheng had breakfast, he walked out of the hotel. However, as soon as he stepped out of the door, he was knocked into by a hurried figure. It was a very beautiful woman. After knocking into Li Changsheng, she apologized repeatedly. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't do it on purpose." After saying that, the woman raised her head. When she saw Li Changxing's face clearly, she was puzzled at first. Then, she let out an ear-piercing scream and turned to run toward the road. Coincidentally, a speeding car rushed over and was about to hit the woman. Li Changxing's body turned into an afterimage and instantly rushed to the side of the road. He hugged the woman and dodged to the side. The car roared past, and the woman was so frightened that she broke out in a cold sweat. "Thank you." The woman turned around and said to Li Changsheng. However, there was still some fear in her eyes when she looked at Li Changsheng. "Have we met before? Why do I feel that you are so afraid of me?" Li Changsheng was very puzzled. "Are you a human or a ghost?" The woman carefully touched the back of Li Changxing's hand. After confirming that it was warm, she breathed a sigh of relief. Her question made Li Changsheng not know whether to laugh or cry. "It seems to be the first time we met. You cursed me the first time we met. To think that I saved your life just now." The woman suddenly looked a little embarrassed and said, "My name is Cheng Na. It's not the first time I met you. That day on Mount Wudong, I saw you jump off the cliff with my own eyes. I thought you thought I was dead, right?" Only then did Li Changsheng remember that when he went to Mount Wudong and was about to jump, a woman called him from behind. "So it's you." "Actually, I didn't jump off the cliff that day. I was just agile and went down the cliff to get something." "Is that so?" After hearing Li Changxing's explanation, the doubts in Cheng Na's heart were finally solved. "So that's how it is. Thank you for saving me just now. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I would have been sent flying." Cheng Na's heart was still thumping when she thought of what happened just now. "It's okay. It's my duty to save you. Then I'll leave first." As she spoke, Cheng Na handed Li Changxing a business card. "My phone number is on it. If there's anything, you can call me." With that, Cheng Na turned to leave. "Wait a minute." Li Changxing suddenly spoke. "Is there anything else?" Cheng Na was puzzled. "I saw that you were in a hurry just now, and your eyes were filled with worry. Have you encountered any difficulties recently?" "How could you tell?" Cheng Na's eyes revealed a hint of surprise, but she shook her head. "It's nothing serious. Why don't you tell me? Maybe I can help you." Li Changxing noticed that the jade-green bracelet on Cheng Na's right hand was a little strange. That bracelet was obviously not an ordinary jade bracelet. Li Changxing could sense that there were several small arrays engraved in the bracelet, and the function of these arrays was more similar to a kind of locator. The person who refined the arrays could know the location of the person wearing the bracelet at any time. Seeing that Cheng Na did not have any cultivation in her body, it meant that she was just an ordinary person and not a cultivator. Coupled with the worry in Cheng Na's eyes that could not be dispelled, Li Changxing judged that Cheng Na might have encountered some difficulties related to cultivators. Li Changxing saw that this woman was not a bad person. Last time on Wudong Mountain, she kindly reminded him. It could be said that they were fated to meet, so he asked her, "You can't help me." Cheng Na's face revealed a trace of bitterness. She felt a deep sense of powerlessness when she thought of that figure. "Goodbye. Thank you for your kindness." Cheng Na turned around, hailed a taxi, and got in. Soon, she disappeared from Li Changxing's sight. Chapter 761. Li Changsheng watched the taxi disappear from his sight and couldn't help but shake his head. He wasn't someone who liked to meddle in other people's business. Since the other party didn't think that he could help her, he couldn't be bothered. He went to the roadside and hailed a taxi to the suburbs of the city. He went online to check the more interesting attractions nearby. Once he set foot on the sea in a few days, he would head to the Three Immortal Island to find a way to leave this world. Perhaps he wouldn't know when he would come back again. It was always good to see more of the scenery of this world. When he arrived at the suburbs, he took out his phone and took a few photos. Li Changsheng sat on a big rock and planned to take a few good photos to send to Yue. At this moment, he heard a woman scream. "What's going on? Is there a crime happening in broad daylight?" Li Changsheng couldn't help but move his body. Under the cover of his divine sense, the surrounding situation appeared clearly in his mind. "Chengna, today is your deadline. Don't test my patience. If you don't come with me obediently today, think about your family." A fierce-looking man grabbed Chengna's wrist and said fiercely. Chengna's face was full of misery. "When you helped my family back then, you only said that you would pay me, but you didn't say that you would let me marry your young master. Cut the crap. If you don't leave, I'll kill your parents. You've seen what I can do. I hope you don't make a mistake." The man let go of Chengna's wrist. "I'll give you two choices now. 1. Come with me obediently and marry my young master as a concubine. 2. Go back and wait to collect your parents' corpses." Chengna stood there in a daze. Tears kept flowing down her face, and she was full of helplessness. "I'll go with you as long as you don't hurt my parents." She bit her lip and said with a resolute look in her eyes, "That's more like it." After saying that, the man grabbed Chengna and was about to leave. "Wait a minute." At this moment, a voice sounded. "Who gave you the guts to kidnap a woman in broad daylight?" Li Changsheng's figure slowly appeared. "Who are you?" The man sized up Li Changsheng a few times and did not sense any aura of a cultivator. Only then did he feel relieved. "Brat, you dare to meddle in my business? I'll send you to hell first." As he spoke, he raised his hand and was about to attack Li Changsheng. "You can't hurt him." At this moment, Chengna stood in the middle. "Mr. Qin, he is just an ordinary person. Please don't hurt him. I will leave with you." At the same time, he looked at Li Changsheng and said, "Friend, don't worry about my business. You can't do anything about it. They're not ordinary people." Unexpectedly, Li Changsheng smiled and said, "It's fine. I know he's not an ordinary person. However, seeing injustice on the road, I'll draw my sword to help. Since I've met him, I definitely won't stand by and do nothing." "Chengna, did you hear that? Since this brat wants to die, I can only fulfill his wish." The man pushed Chengna to the side. When Chengna saw this, she hurriedly went up and grabbed his arm. She kept signaling Li Changsheng with her eyes. "Run. If you don't run, you'll die. You're a kind person. Just based on this, I'll definitely help you." Upon hearing Li Changsheng's words, Chengna did not know what to say. The burly man sneered. How could there be such a stupid person in the world? The man raised his hand, and a few paper dolls fell from his sleeve. After the paper dolls fell to the ground, they turned into 5 enchanting women. Each of them held a sword in their hand and rushed towards Li Changsheng. "It's over." Chengna obviously knew how powerful these paper dolls were. Her eyes were filled with despair. "I'm the one who harmed you." She looked in Li Changsheng's direction with sadness. On the other hand, the burly man laughed out loud. "My paper dolls like men with strong yang energy the most. Brat, you're in luck." Looking at these paper dolls, Li Changsheng was a little surprised. Injecting one soul into the paper dolls as a means of attack was quite creative. However, that was all. These fancy things could only be considered unorthodox. The method of gathering ghosts was harmful to the harmony of the world. People who cultivated this kind of cultivation method usually did not end well. "Die." Seeing the 5 paper dolls reach Li Changsheng's side, the man's face was filled with viciousness. The first paper doll that rushed over had a face like a peach blossom. It was enchanting and charming. If it was an ordinary man, he would probably lose his soul after being seduced by her. When she got close to Li Changsheng suddenly slapped her cheek. With a whoosh, that charming face split from the middle. Her entire body was torn in half by Li Changsheng. This scene stunned the burly man who had a cold expression. He clearly sensed that there was no quintessential essence fluctuation on Li Changsheng's body. How did he suddenly become an expert? After the paper dolls were torn apart, a woman's soul stared at Li Changsheng with hatred. I originally thought that your souls were captured by others and were pitiful people. However, looking at your ghostly appearance, you're also a starved ghost. I don't know how many people you've harmed and how much evil chi you have. I can't tolerate you. Li Changsheng pointed his finger. The heart's wishful sword turned into a beam of light and descended on the soul. Immediately, there was a shrill scream. The woman's expression was hideous as she was completely turned into ashes. After killing the woman, the sword light expanded by 3 feet and rushed towards the remaining 4 paper dolls. The 4 paper dolls were instinctively afraid when they saw the sword light. They wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Almost instantly, the sword light slashed their bodies, and they were smashed into pieces amid screams. The man's face also revealed a look of shock. He waved his hand, and a folding fan appeared in his hand. The fan was filled with drawings of people's heads. He stared at Li Changsheng warily and said coldly, "Friend, I didn't expect that we're kindred spirits. Please forgive me for offending you earlier. I'm Elder Qin Bailey from the Purple Fan Sect. I hope that you can make things easy for me and let me take this woman away. This woman is the cauldron that our young master has taken a fancy to." After the man reported his name, he kept staring at Li Changsheng's expression. "Purple Fan Sect." Li Changsheng shook his head. "I don't care what sect you are from. She must stay. You can scram now." Hearing Li Changsheng's words, the man's face immediately sank. "Friend, making things easy for others is making things easy for yourself. This woman is someone that our young master has taken a fancy to. You dare to intercept her? Are you trying to make an enemy out of the entire Purple Fan Sect?" The man's voice was stern. The countless heads on the folding fan in his hand seemed to have come to life. Their eyes were glowing with a green light. "What is the Purple Fan Sect? Why should I give face to the Purple Fan Sect?" Li Changsheng looked a little impatient. Qin Bailey snorted. "If that's the case, then go to hell." Qin Bailey's face suddenly became ferocious. Then he took out the folding fan in his hand. Immediately, hundreds of ghost faces pounced on Li Changsheng like a swarm of locusts. "It's over." Xingna couldn't help but close her eyes in despair. She had seen the power of the ghost faces sealed on the folding fan. Any one of them was extremely terrifying. It was unimaginable for hundreds of them to pounce on one person at the same time. "I've dragged you into this," Xingna muttered to herself, but soon her eyes widened. Facing the hundreds of ghost faces, a flame suddenly appeared on Li Changsheng's finger. He gently blew at the flame. The flame instantly turned into a fire dragon that was dozens of meters long and rushed into the group of ghost faces. When the ghost faces came into contact with the fire dragon, they let out shrill screams and were almost instantly burned to ashes. Li Changsheng, who was standing on the ground and illuminated by the fire, looked like a god. Chapter 762. Hundreds of ghost faces were burned to ashes by the flames. In the sky, a fire dragon circled above Li Changsheng's head. The place fell into silence. Qin Bai Li's body trembled, and his face was filled with fear. The 100 Ghost Fan was his proudest treasure, but it was easily destroyed by Li Changsheng. Xingna, who thought that Li Changsheng was dead for sure, was overjoyed. "I've met an immortal." She recalled the scene of Li Changsheng jumping off the cliff on Wudong Mountain. Now, she understood everything. "I'm from the Purple Fan Sect. Kid, do you want to be enemies with the Purple Fan Sect?" Qin Bai Li said with a trembling voice. Li Changsheng was too terrifying. He could only bring up the sect behind him in an attempt to make Li Changsheng fearful. "What's the Purple Fan Sect? I've never heard of it before." Li Changsheng sneered. "I told you to get lost, but you didn't. Now, even if you're from the Three Immortal Island, it's useless." Li Changsheng raised his palm, which turned into a transparent handprint and pressed down on Qin Bai Li. Qin Bai Li's face was filled with despair. The 100 Ghost fan was his most powerful treasure, but it was easily destroyed by Li Changsheng. Without the 100 Ghost fan, he would be courting death if he faced Li Changsheng. At this moment, a jade pendant on his body suddenly exploded, and an angry voice came from it. "Surnamed Qin, I told you to bring my concubine back. What are you still dawdling for? I'm already here. Come out and welcome me." Qin Bai Li, who was in despair, was pleasantly surprised. "Young master, I'm in danger. Someone wants to kill me. Come and save me." Qin Bai Li was about to cry when he saw that the palm was about to reach his head. It was obvious that even if his young master appeared now, he wouldn't be able to save him. Am I going to die just like that? Qin Bai Li was unwilling to accept this. The palm stopped just before it reached the top of Li Changsheng's head. Li Changsheng pulled his hand back. "Since your young master is here, I'm not in a hurry to kill you. I'll let you and your young master die together." Qin Bai Li, who had just survived the calamity, fell to the ground with a thud. He crossed his legs and panted heavily. He looked at Li Changsheng and sneered. "I don't know who gave you the confidence to wait for our young master to come to your door. Do you know how strong our young master is?" At the side, Cheng Na was also anxious. "Friend, let's quickly escape. What if their young master brings a group of people and you can't defeat them? What should I do then?" "Don't worry." Li Changsheng smiled. "Since I've helped you, I must help you to the end. Otherwise, do you think the Purple Fan School will let you go just because you killed a small fry?" Hearing Li Changsheng's words, Cheng Na thought about it carefully and realized that it made sense. Li Changsheng could just leave like that, but in the face of such an unpredictable character, where could he hide? Then what should we do? The joy of escaping death disappeared in an instant and was replaced by a face full of worry. Don't worry. This Purple Fan School refines souls into weapons and is incomparably cruel. Moreover, their way of doing things is not a good person. I can also be a person who exterminates evil and uproots this Purple Fan School. Hearing Li Changsheng's words, Cheng Na's eyes were still filled with worry. But the Purple Fan School is a sect. Can you deal with it alone? I know you're a good person, and thank you for your help. I don't want to implicate you, so you should hurry up and escape. Hearing Cheng Na's words, Li Changsheng was rather touched. Cheng Na's family was all ordinary people and could not resist against a sect like the Purple Fan School. At this time, Li Changsheng should be her family's only hope, but she let Li Changsheng escape. What kind girl? This made Li Changsheng feel that even if he had to help her, he would be willing. Don't worry, I don't care about a mere Purple Fan School. Who doesn't care about my Purple Fan School? A cold voice sounded. Several figures came out from the thicket. The one in the lead was a young master in a white robe. He held a purple fan in his hand. The purple fan was filled with portraits. If one were to count carefully, there were at least 1,000 of them. Upon seeing the purple fan, Li Changsheng's eyes revealed a cold look. Through the battle with Qin Bai Li, he knew that the portrait represented a soul. Over 1,000 souls had been refined into the fan, and he could see that the purple fan was a beautiful woman. It was definitely not a few lonely souls collected from the unmarked graveyard. Thinking about how they wanted to take Cheng Na away to be a cauldron, Li Changsheng suddenly thought of a possibility. "You're the young master of the Purple Fan School?" His voice was completely cold. "That's right. I'm Zhang Shaoxian, the head true disciple of the Purple Fan School and the next schoolmaster. Kid, you're really bold. You even dare to snatch the cauldron that this young master fancied. You even dare to injure the people of my Purple Fan School. I think you're tired of living, right?" Li Changsheng just stared at the fan in his hand and asked, "I wonder what happens to the women after they become your cauldrons? Don't tell me they're refined into the fan in your hand?" Hearing Li Changsheng's words, the other party couldn't help but laugh and said, "It seems like you're quite smart. This young master is proficient in the een-plucking art. That's why I'm able to reach the Vajra realm before the age of 30. On this fan are the souls of the women that this young master has taken advantage of. When they were alive, they helped this young master raise his cultivation. After they died, they could be used as a means of attack. This is called making the best use of everything." Zhang Shaoxian's words fell into Cheng Na's ears. and her face instantly turned pale. Although she was just an ordinary person and didn't understand the matters of the cultivation world, she understood from the conversation between the two that if she was captured, she would probably end up as something neither human nor ghost. She couldn't help but move closer to Li Changsheng. A human's heart was like a ghost, and this Zhang Shaoxian was even scarier than a ghost. Li Changsheng's eyes were already filled with killing intent. If Li Changsheng only felt that the Purple Fan School's way of doing things was a little repulsive, now it could be described as extremely tragic. This school was simply devoid of conscience. Even the demonic sects of the Pre-Qin dynasty didn't dare to do this. Aren't you afraid that the special ability group will come looking for you? Li Changsheng was almost unable to suppress the killing intent in his heart. Aren't you afraid that the special ability group will come looking for you? Haha, the special ability group isn't omnipotent. My Purple Fan School has never left any traces behind. They won't be able to find us at all. My Purple Fan School isn't the only demonic sect. Now that the world's fate has changed and experts are emerging one after another, the special ability group won't be able to fend for themselves. Many sects have a lot of complaints about the special ability group's interference in recent years. All right, kid, your strength isn't bad. It just so happens that I've recently obtained a powerful artifact. I'll be able to fuse it with you. After saying that, he opened the fan in his hand, and thousands of ghost faces rushed towards Li Changsheng like a torrential downpour. Chapter 763. Child's Play. He summoned the flames of the underworld, and a ball of flames surged out like a wave. The thousands of ghost faces were instantly incinerated by the flames. Zhang Shaoxian's hand that was holding the fan trembled. He never thought that the Dharma artifact that he was so proud of would be so weak in the hands of his opponent. Qin Bailey, who was originally waiting for Zhang Shaoxian to avenge him, felt his mouth go dry. He had witnessed Li Changsheng's strength before, but he had never imagined that he would be so strong to such an extent. Do you have any more moves? If not, I'll send you on your way. Under Li Changsheng's command, the ball of flames above his head constantly changed into various shapes. It was like a savage beast choosing its prey, causing Zhang Shaoxian's legs to go weak. So powerful, Cheng Na looked at Li Changsheng with shining eyes. Li Changsheng's imposing figure was deeply imprinted in her mind. Friend, I was just joking with you. Zhang Shaoxian tried his best to squeeze out a kind smile. How could I go against such a powerful expert like you? As the young master of the Purple Fan School, I still have a few powerful Dharma artifacts. Take them as my gift to you. If you visit the Purple Fan School in the future, I'll definitely host a banquet and treat you well. We'll be friends in the future. As he spoke, his hand shook and a few Dharma artifacts fell out. It seems that as the young master of the Purple Fan School, you have a lot of wealth. However, I don't have the habit of making friends with people like you. As for your treasures, as long as I kill you, won't they all be mine? Hearing Li Changsheng's words, the smile on Zhang Shaoxian's face froze. Why do you have to be like this, friend? More friends means more paths. More enemies means more walls. If you let me go today, the entire Purple Fan School will remember your kindness. I won't let you go. Li Changsheng shook his head indifferently. Zhang Shaoxian's face suddenly changed, revealing a hint of anger. Kid, don't be so shameless. Do you really think that I'm afraid of you? Don't force me to use my trump card. A white bone fan appeared in his hand. This fan seemed to be made out of bones. As soon as it appeared, it emitted a cruel and tyrannical aura. This bone fan is the ultimate treasure of my Purple Fan School. However, it's too powerful, so I'm not willing to take it out, lest I put you in danger. Kid, I'll give you one last chance. Accept my treasures, shake hands, and make peace. From now on, we'll mind our own business. Otherwise, I'll let you taste the power of my white bone fan. Li Changsheng couldn't help but shake his head. Your words sound nice. What do you mean you can't bear to see the people in misery and suffering? Aren't you ashamed to say something like that? The reason why you don't want to use the bone fan is because you have to pay a huge price to use it with your strength, right? Li Changsheng's words made Zhang Shaoxian's face sink. Indeed, As the ultimate treasure of the purple fan school, it was not something he could casually use with his current cultivation. Kid, so what if you're right? If you force me to use this fan, I'll make you suffer the pain of 10,000 ghosts devouring your heart. Zhang Xiaoxian stared viciously at Li Changsheng. You're really not willing to let me go? Li Changsheng shook his head calmly. Make your move. I want to see how powerful your white bone fan is. All right, then go to hell. Zhang Xiaoxian waved his hand, and the white bone fan grew in the wind. In an instant, the originally clear sky was covered with dense dark clouds. Countless black gas filled the air from the fan, forming ghost faces in the air. 100 Ghosts Parade. As his voice sounded, a cold wind whistled between heaven and earth, as if they had suddenly arrived in hell. Qingna was so scared that her teeth started to chatter. This scene was too terrifying. My white bone fan can even take care of a finger-profound realm expert. Kid, you forced me to do this. Zhang Xiaoxian's hair fluttered in the wind, and his expression became deranged. Purple lines could be seen on his skin, and his cheeks were also instantly covered, making him look incomparably hideous. I'll use my blood to summon 100 ghosts and turn the world into a ghost realm. Eat the person in front of me. Zhang Xiaoxian shouted loudly, and all kinds of terrifying cries and laughter rang out, making one's hair stand on end. Among the ghost faces, there was a tongue that was 3 feet long. Some had hair covering their cheeks, and some had no facial features. Mr. Li, what should we do? Qingna was so scared that her body was trembling. Young master is mighty. Kid, this is the consequence of offending my purple fan school. Qin Bai Li's eyes revealed a carefree look. The group of purple fan school disciples that followed Zhang Xiaoxian also looked coldly at Li Changsheng. 100 Ghosts Parade, Ghost Realm in the Human Realm. What a big move, but it's a pity that you shouldn't have met me. Li Changsheng waved his hand. The dense flames began to grow bigger, and finally formed a fire domain that was close to 100 feet above his head, burning fiercely. Any ghost that approached would be instantly burned to ashes. What is this? Zhang Xiaoxian's heart suddenly felt uneasy. The fire of the underworld was originally produced in the underworld, and it was the world's top flame. Unfortunately, the yin qi of this flame was extremely heavy, and it was of the same attribute as these ghosts, so its power was greatly reduced. If it was other flames like the Nanming Li fire or the true sun flame that turned into such a large fire domain, the ghost realm would probably be destroyed instantly. However, even if its power was greatly reduced as the world's top flame, its attack power was still not to be underestimated. Burning the sky and boiling the sea, Li Changsheng shouted loudly. The fire clouds that filled the sky constantly surged with his hand gestures. When he waved his hand gently, the fire swept across and pounced on the dense red clouds. This was a new move that he had refined after obtaining the fire of the underworld, and it was a good opportunity to test it on the ghosts in front of him. Boom! Under the fire, the originally dark sky instantly turned into a spectacle of burning clouds. Then, with all kinds of shrill screams, all the black fog was burned to nothing. The white bone fan fell from the sky and landed at Zhang Xiaoxian's feet. Zhang Xiaoxian did not bother to pick up the white bone fan. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was full of shock. How is this possible? How is this possible? The white bone fan that could even deal with a finger-profound realm expert and the tens of thousands of ghosts was the wealth that the purple fan sect had accumulated over countless generations, but it was destroyed in less than a few minutes. His heart completely fell to the bottom, and he looked at Li Changsheng with a face full of fear. Now, what do you have to say? Seeing that Zhang Xiaoxian was about to lower his head to retrieve the white bone fan, Li Changsheng gently waved his hand, and the white bone fan flew directly into his hand with a swoosh. This white bone fan has already been refined by me. So what if you have it? Although Zhang Xiaoxian's body was dispirited and he was seriously injured, he still activated his vital energy, wanted to take back the white bone fan. However, in the next moment, he spat out another mouthful of blood. Li Changsheng's finger gently brushed the white bone fan, and the mental strength that he had left on it was wiped away. This fan is a treasure. Li Changxing looked up and down at the white bone fan. Cheng Na, who was beside him, was so scared that her body kept trembling. In her eyes, this white bone fan was full of strangeness and eeriness. Feeling the fear in Cheng Na's heart, Li Changxing knew that it was because of the white bone fan, so he first put the white bone fan away. The flames that filled the sky turned into a tornado and finally poured into his body. Please don't kill me. Zhang Shaoxian knew that Li Changxing would make a move on him next. He no longer had the arrogance from before, and with a plop, he knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Beside him, Qin Bailey and the other disciples of the Purple Fan sect also hurriedly knelt down. Chapter 764. My friend, please be merciful and spare my life. Zhang Shaoxian knelt on the ground and begged with tears and snot. He was really afraid. The reason why he was so arrogant before was because he had the white bone fan to rely on. Now that the white bone fan had been taken away by Li Changxing, how would he dare to go against Li Changxing? Don't you think it's too late for you to beg for mercy? Li Changxing sneered and said with disgust, the Purple Fan sect doesn't care about human lives and is guilty of the most heinous crimes. Everyone has the right to punish them. Yes, sir, you can't let him go. Cheng Na stood at the side and said loudly. She hated the Purple Fan sect to the core. If it wasn't for Li Changxing's appearance, she might have been taken away by the Purple Fan sect. It wouldn't be long before she would be killed and become one of the countless ghosts in Zhang Shaoxian's Purple Fan. As long as you let me go, I'll do anything. Zhang Shaoxian kept taking out all kinds of Dharma artifacts. These are all the treasures I've collected over the years. I'll give them all to you. I only beg for you to spare my life. In order to survive, Zhang Shaoxian couldn't care about anything else. However, Li Changxing shook his head and sighed. It's useless. You're doomed to destruction if you do too much evil. When you did so many evil things and killed so many lives, you should have thought of today's ending. Li Changxing slowly raised his hand. Zhang Shaoxian and the rest were in despair. At this moment, a few figures suddenly appeared in the sky. More than 10 figures appeared around Li Changxing. Could it be the Purple Fan sect's reinforcements? Cheng Na's face was filled with anxiety. Li Changxing's eyes were also extremely cold. It wasn't the Purple Fan sect's reinforcements, but it wasn't too far off. They were the 23 experts who had been secretly monitoring Li Changxing for the past few days. 2 of them were the Finger Profound Realm, and 21 were at the Vajra Realm. When such a lineup appeared, countless auras locked onto Li Changxing. Li, you can't even protect yourself, yet you're still in the mood to play the hero and save the damsel in distress. An old figure walked out and said, I am the Supreme Elder of the Refining Heart Sect, Tan Yeming. The other party was one of the 2 Finger Profound Realm experts among the 23 people who came to deal with Li Changxing this time. Honing Heart Sect? I don't think I have any enmity with the Refining Heart Sect, right? Hearing Li Changxing's words, Tan Yeming sneered. How can there be no enmity? Tan Tua is my nephew, and he lost an arm. Isn't this enmity big enough? Your nephew lost an arm because he didn't listen to my advice and charged into the formation. What does that have to do with me? You clearly could have broken the formation, so why didn't you help my nephew break the formation? Instead, you let him take the risk and lose an arm. It's clear how vicious you are. Although my nephew's arm wasn't crippled by you, you have to bear 90% of the responsibility. I came here today to avenge my nephew. Hearing the other party's reasoning, Li Changxing felt speechless. He could even blame himself for this. At the same time, he looked at the Finger Profound Realm expert on the other side. The other party was dressed in white and was around 60 years old. He had an imposing aura that didn't anger. I am the White Cloth sect leader, Zi Shaoan. Li Changxing, you killed my son, Zi Donglai. Today, I must take your head. Li Changxing couldn't help but shake his head. Your son at least stabilized the Finger Profound Realm. You, on the other hand, just stepped into the Finger Profound Realm and came to find me for revenge. People say that a tiger father is a dog son. I think you're a dog father and a tiger son. Li Changxing, don't try to show off. This day next year will be your death anniversary. Zi Xiaohan's eyes flashed with hatred. You people appeared at the foot of Wudong Mountain yesterday and followed me all the way to the hotel. However, you didn't make a move. You must be waiting for some trump card? Now that you can't wait to jump out, the trump card must have arrived. Li Changxing's words fell. Zi Xiaohan sneered. Li, you're smart. You knew that we were going to hunt you down, but you didn't run away. Instead, you came here leisurely to save the damsel in distress. It seems that you're really arrogant. God wants you dead. As his voice fell, a figure quickly approached from the sky. The crowd surrounding Li Changsheng all looked excited. A white-haired old man appeared and descended from the sky. Everyone took the initiative to make a path for the old man to walk to the front. Who are you? Li Changsheng felt the aura of the old man as deep as the sea. It was obviously much stronger than Tan Yiming and Zi Shaoan. I am Xianyuan's sect's great elder, Yu Jingtang. Xianyuan's sect? Li Changsheng couldn't help but tremble. In his previous life, he had founded a sect called Changxing Sect. Unfortunately, after he fell asleep, his traitorous disciple changed the sect name and erased everything related to him. After Ji Lushui changed the name, the Changxing Sect was called Xianyuan Sect. Since his rebirth, he had tried to find out about Xianyuan's sect, but to no avail. He didn't expect to see someone from Xianyuan's sect today. Do you know my relationship with Xianyuan's sect? Li Changsheng stared at the old man's face and asked, Humph, what relationship do you have with my sect? Do you know that you can't escape today? So, you want to use this method to get close to me? Yu Jingtang said coldly. Li Changsheng thought, sure enough, that traitorous disciple erased all his connections with the sect. Others come to kill me because they have a grudge against me. Why are you here? You got the complete inheritance in the Zhenwu ruins. A man's wealth is his own ruin, so I am here. Hee hee. Li Changxing couldn't help but have a mocking look on his face. The sect that he founded, his disciples, and their disciples actually came to him one day with a sword and wanted to steal his cultivation method. This was really ironic. At this time, Qingna also saw that these people were Li Changxing's enemies, and they seemed to be very powerful. She couldn't help but ask worriedly, Can you deal with them? Li Changxing replied with a smile. On the other side, Zhang, Xiaoxian, and the others who were originally kneeling there had already stood up. Kid, I didn't expect you to have made so many enemies. Let's see how you can still be arrogant this time. Zhang Xiaoxian and the others who were begging just now had regained their arrogant look. They looked at Li Changsheng with a sneer. He heard that there were at least 2-finger profound realm cultivators among these people. This was a very powerful lineup. In addition, there were more than 20 experts behind them. It was probably enough to wipe out any sect in the cultivation world. The heavens are helping me. Zhang Xiaoxian's heart was very happy. With so many of you gathered together, it seems like you're going to kill me. Li Changsheng sighed. The ardent dragon spear appeared in his hand. With so many people setting up a killing trap, he already had the intention to kill. After killing those people in the Zhenwu ruins, he should have gone to them one by one and killed them all. As expected, being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Chapter 765. Li Changsheng, you have committed many evil deeds and your hands are stained with blood. Today is the day of your retribution. Zi Shaoan hated Li Changsheng to the core. At this moment, he couldn't help but take a step forward and make the first move. With a wave of his palm, a gale rose under his feet and a strong gale swept towards Li Changsheng. You're courting death. Li Changsheng waved his hand in the face of the incoming gale, and the gale was immediately dispersed by him. This guy's strength is indeed unfathomable. Tan Yiming and the rest of the experts were shocked. Although they had heard all kinds of rumors about Li Changsheng before, they didn't really see it and didn't feel it directly. At this moment, they finally saw how powerful Li Changsheng was. Zi Xiaoan's attack, just now, was obviously probing, but the result of the test shocked them. Everyone, let's attack together. We can't let him defeat us one by one. Tan Yiming said loudly. There were too many rumors about Li Changsheng, and all of them showed how terrifying he was. They gathered such a large force and naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to fight Li Changsheng alone. As soon as Tan Yiming finished speaking, more than 20 experts attacked almost at the same time. All kinds of attacks covered the sky and the sun, and all of them attacked Li Changsheng. It was like a surging wave that made it impossible to avoid. With so many experts, it was enough to flatten any sect in the world of cultivation. They could even contend with an army. Their combat strength was not inferior to an army. It's over. Sheng Na had never seen such a scene before. Her eyes were filled with despair. I've implicated him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been besieged by so many people. Sheng Na looked at Li Changsheng's figure with guilt in her despair. On the other side, the people of Purple Fan sect who thought they were saved were all scared out of their wits in the face of such an indiscriminate attack. Under such an attack, they were also enveloped in the attack range. On the other side, the elder of the Xianyuan school, Yu Jingtang, couldn't help but shake his head. He's really extraordinary to be able to break through to such a realm at such a young age. Unfortunately, he's too stupid. Originally, with Li Changsheng's strength, if he wanted to escape, no one would be able to catch him. However, he foolishly waited and fell into an encirclement. This was called not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Changsheng raised his hand. Endless flames spread out, turning the surroundings into a sea of fire, forming a wall of fire. The dense attacks that landed on the wall of fire were all blocked. Rumble! Countless attacks exploded in the air, causing the earth to tremble. The power released by dozens of Vajra realm martial experts was terrifying, but no matter how ferocious the attacks were, the wall of fire stood firmly and blocked all the attacks. What spell is this? Even Yu Zhongtang's face was filled with shock. With so many experts attacking together, they still couldn't break through Li Changsheng's defense. This was too terrifying. It's impolite not to reciprocate. It's my turn now. The scorching sun dragon spear in Li Changsheng's hand turned into a streak of golden light and pierced forward. Rumble! The golden light wreaked havoc. Wherever it passed, a few martial artists couldn't dodge in time and had their chests penetrated before exploding into blood mists. The scorching sun dragon spear was powerful, and it was even more terrifying after killing the Golden Armor Patriarch. These Vajra realm martial artists might be superior in the eyes of ordinary martial artists, but in the eyes of Li Changsheng, they were no different from ants. Everyone attacked quickly. We must kill him quickly. This time, Yu Zhongtang lost his composure. He roared and formed a seal with both hands. Azure, the arch longevity art. The dense trees behind him grew rapidly, and the branches attacked Li Changsheng under his control. This Azure, the arch longevity art was passed down by me in the past, and you actually used it to deal with me. Li Changsheng couldn't help but shake his head as he forgot to make a move. What's going on? Could it be that Li Changsheng realized that Elder Yu's art is too powerful and gave up resisting? It shouldn't be. With his strength, even if Elder Yu's art is profound, he shouldn't have become like this. While many people were puzzled, Yu Zhongtang sneered. If Li Changsheng had attacked him at the beginning, he wouldn't have been confident, but it was different now. The wood element art was endless, especially the Azure, the arch longevity art, which was the top wood element art. Once it was fully used, it could absorb energy continuously, and it was almost invincible. Break! Just when a branch was less than a finger away from Li Changsheng waved his hand, and the fire wall turned into a fire dragon and rushed forward. Fire was the bane of wood. When the fire surged over, all of the branches and leaves were instantly burned to ashes. Wherever the fire passed, the dense branches were incinerated. A streak of fire hit Yu Zhongtang's body. Yu Zhongtang's entire body was set ablaze as he let out a miserable scream. Yu Zhongtang was an elder of the Xianyuan sect, and Li Changsheng still had many questions to ask him. Otherwise, the fire of the underworld would have been enough to destroy his body and soul. Everyone who saw this scene felt a chill in their hearts. Yu Zhongtang was a finger-profound realm expert, their strongest trump card. The battle had just started, and he was burned half to death by Li Changsheng. How could they continue fighting? In an instant, everyone wanted to retreat, but Li Changsheng had already made a move. How could show mercy? A single spark makes a prairie fire. Li Changsheng shouted. The endless flames turned the surroundings into a sea of fire. Fire snakes swallowed the surging waves of fire, like a ferocious ancient beast opening its bloody mouth. Bang, 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 bang. Wherever it passed, it was like a volcanic eruption, burning everything into ashes. Run! Many Vajra realm experts were scared out of their wits. However, before they could get very far, they were swallowed up by the raging sea of fire. Miserable cries rang through the sky as one expert after another was reduced to ashes in the flames. Li Changsheng, you actually dare to start a massacre. You will become the public enemy of the entire cultivation world. Only Tan Yeming and Zi Shaohan, the two-finger profound realm experts, could barely escape from the sea of fire. I will fight it out with you. Zi Shaohan held the grudge of his son's death. Even after seeing how powerful Li Changsheng was, he still rushed towards Li Changsheng without hesitation. Brother Zi, you can't. Tan Yeming wanted to stop him, but was too late. Zi Shaohan stepped on the sea of fire and rushed towards Li Changsheng. However, he underestimated the power of the fire of the underworld. When he took 3 steps in the sea of fire, his legs were already burned into ashes by the fire. With a miserable scream, he was completely engulfed by the sea of fire. His entire body was burned into ashes. In the blink of an eye, 3-finger profound realm experts and 21 Vajra realm experts were dead. Only Yu Jingtang and Tan Yeming were left. Yu Jingtang was already severely injured and was lying there on the verge of death. Li Changsheng looked at Tan Yeming with a smile that didn't look like a smile. Tan Yeming's body was cold. He stood in the air, but he didn't dare to move. He knew that no matter if he fled or fought, the result wouldn't change. Chapter 766. It's time for you to die. Li Changsheng slowly raised his hand. Tan Yeming's face was filled with fear. Mr. Li, please let me go. As long as you spare my life. Before he finished speaking, a streak of fiery light had already descended from the sky and struck his body. Almost instantly, this finger-profound realm expert was burned into a pile of dregs under the fiery light. How is this possible? It's too terrifying. Qin Bailey and Zhang Shaoxian from the Purple Fan School were trembling. Who would have thought that Li Changsheng's strength was so terrifying? And the two of you. The moment Li Changsheng's gaze fell, Zhang Shaoxian and the rest trembled as they knelt on the ground. The Purple Fan School has done all kinds of evil. It shouldn't exist in this world. Li Changsheng formed a seal with his hands, and a blood-red light entered their bodies. Zhang Shaoxian's face instantly became distorted. The life force in his body seemed to have been sucked out by an invisible force. He then covered his face in fear and fell to the ground. Qin Bailey and the rest of the Purple Fan School's members also suffered the same fate. At the same time, in the Purple Fan School located thousands of miles away, an old man was sitting in the main seat. Below him were a group of elders. At this moment, an old man stood out and cupped his hands. Sect Master, the young master has gone too far. Every time he goes down the mountain, he kidnaps those beautiful women and refines them into his magic treasure. This kind of behavior could very well bring disaster to our Purple Fan School. Once the special ability group or other sects find out, I'm afraid our Purple Fan School will be in endless trouble. Hearing the elder's words, Zhang Ku, who was seated on the main seat, smiled faintly. Elder Rong, you're overthinking things. Although Xian Er's actions are a little absurd, he always does things cleanly and leaves no traces behind. There are already so many vengeful spirits stored in his fan, but I've yet to see any sect come knocking on our door. Furthermore, Xian Er is holding our Purple Fan School's inherited treasure, the White Bone Fan. Unless he encounters a finger-profound realm expert, no one will be able to harm him. Furthermore, our Purple Fan School has many layers of formations. Hearing Zhang Ke's confident words, the old man couldn't help but sigh. In the past, the purple fan school had always behaved with its tail between its legs because its cultivation method was too evil. However, in recent years, as the young master grew up, the style of doing things in the school had completely changed. Furthermore, because Zhang Shaoxian had committed so many evil deeds, but no one had discovered the purple fan school, the elders in the school had lowered their vigilance and became even more arrogant. Elder Rome was an old man by the side of the previous generation's sect master. He had a very high prestige in the sect. He was very worried about the series of actions of the Purple Fan sect. However, Sect Master Zhang Ke felt that his worries were groundless. At first, he could still listen to a few words of advice. Later on, his advice went in one ear and out the other. All right, that's all for today's meeting. Zhang Ke interrupted Elder Rome's words and was about to stand up when his body suddenly trembled. It was as if something important had left him. At this moment, a disciple in charge of guarding the soul hall hurriedly ran in. Sect Master, bad news. The young master's soul lamp has extinguished. The soul lamp was the lamp of life for every disciple of the Purple Fan School. As long as the soul lamp was not extinguished, it meant that the disciple was still alive in this world. Once the soul lamp was extinguished, it meant that the disciple's soul had been destroyed. What? Zhang Ke's face instantly turned extremely ugly. How is this possible? However, just as he finished speaking, something strange began to happen in the hall. The boy who had just come in to report was instantly engulfed in flames and was burned to ashes in the hall. What's going on? Everyone's expression changed drastically. This was because the flames on the disciple's body had caused even their hearts to palpitate. Following that, another sect elder's body also burst into flames. The flames seemed to be contagious. In the blink of an eye, the entire hall had turned into a sea of fire. Is this the legendary killing curse technique? It can use a person's flesh and blood as a guide to curse and kill everyone related to their bloodline. Elder Rong had just let out a cry of surprise when his body burst into flames. What's going on? What's going on? Zhang Ke was completely flustered. Flames were burning everywhere, but he did not even see the shadow of the enemy. Soon, he did not have time to roar, because the bottom of his feet had also started to burn. Arg! He tried to put out the flames, but the flames burned even more fiercely. In the end, his body was completely engulfed by the flames. From afar, one could see that the entire Purple Fan School was on fire. There were more than 800 men, women, and children in the Purple Fan School. All of them were burned to ashes in the fire, using the fire of the netherworld to curse the enemy from 1,000 miles away. This is the first time I've used it. The effect is not bad. Li Changsheng closed his eyes and sensed the scene from 1,000 miles away. The corner of his mouth curled into a smile. At this moment, only Li Changsheng, Cheng Na, and the Xianyuan School's elder Yu Jingtang were left. Miss Cheng, I still have some things to take care of. You can take a taxi after you leave the park and go home. Li Changsheng said to Cheng Na. All right. Cheng Na's face was still filled with lingering fear. Although she knew that she was already out of danger, the scene just now, where countless lives were tragically lost in front of her, was simply a nightmare for an ordinary girl like her. Li Changsheng had already saved Cheng Na, but he had no obligation to be a spiritual mentor for a little girl. After Cheng Na left, his gaze fell on Yu Zhengtang. At this moment, Yu Zhengtang's gaze towards Li Changsheng was no longer as calm as before. He was a dignified profound realm expert, but when facing Li Changsheng, he was like a marionette. Li Changsheng's strength had left a huge psychological shadow in his heart. What do you want? Yu Zhengtang stared at Li Changsheng. There was no one in this world who was not afraid of death. He was the same. Since Li Changsheng had spared his life, it meant that he was still useful. Where's the Xianyuan School's headquarters? Take me there. No. Yu Zhengtang subconsciously shook his head. Bringing a terrifying person like Li Changsheng to the headquarters was tantamount to inviting a wolf into the house. However, when he met Li Changsheng's emotionless eyes, he suddenly shuddered. He knew that if he didn't listen to him, the other party would kill him mercilessly. Just as he was hesitating, Li Changsheng had already raised his hand. If you don't want to tell me, I can only use the soul-searching technique to check your memory. Seeing the aura flowing around Li Changsheng's hand, Yu Jingtang only felt his hands and feet turn cold. How could he not know how terrifying the soul-searching technique was? Once his soul was searched, he would probably become an idiot. All right, I'll take you there. Don't attack me. Yu Jingtang decisively lowered his head. Li Changsheng's lips curled into a disdainful smile, as expected of a spineless person. Chapter 767. Under Li Changsheng's threat, Yu Jingtang had no choice but to lead Li Changsheng to the Xianyuan school's headquarters. During this time, Li Changsheng learned that his traitorous disciple, Ji Lushui, had reached the finger-mysterious realm 10 years ago. He then went into seclusion and never showed his face. His sword art had already reached great completion. He had challenged the masters of various sects under various aliases and never lost. Hearing this news, Li Changsheng felt a bit complicated. Putting aside the fact that his disciple was ungrateful, he could be called a peerless genius in martial arts. However, the Xianyuan school was originally the Changshan school, but Ji Lushui had changed his doctrine. Now, all traces of Li Changsheng had been erased. High-level members like Yu Jingtang knew nothing about Li Changsheng. Only the earliest group of elders knew about Li Changsheng, but it had already been listed as a taboo. According to Yu Jingtang, when he had just joined the Xianyuan school, an elder was mercilessly killed by Ji Lushui because he said something he shouldn't have. Ji Lushui had moved the school to Dianan, which was close to the border. Moreover, the disciples of the school used aliases when they went out, so there was little news about the Xianyuan school these years. The journey was long, so Li Changsheng and Yu Jingtang took a plane all the way. After arriving in Dianan, they first checked into a hotel in the city. "Sir, there's a very large ghost market in this city. It opens every day at 1 o'clock in the morning. There are all kinds of antiques and games. Of course, this is just the surface. In addition, there are many treasures dug out from the earth and various cultivation sects from all over the world who will trade magic weapons there. I wonder if you are interested." Yu Jingtang had been cursed by Li Changsheng. Now, he only hoped to please Li Changsheng. He was afraid that if Li Changsheng was unhappy, he would kill him with a spell. Even though Li Changsheng had promised to lift the curse on him as long as he found the Xianyuan school, he was still anxious. He often went back on his words and killed the donkey the moment it left the millstone. Naturally, he didn't think that promises were useful. There's actually such a trading market. Since I have nothing to do, I might as well go take a look. Li Changsheng nodded. After the two of them checked into a room, they went downstairs to eat something. When night fell, they went to the suburbs together. There was a special street here. When the two of them arrived, they saw that it was densely packed with people. Among them, there were ordinary antique enthusiasts and many cultivators. The two of them did not attract much attention as they walked through the crowd. Along the way, they saw many stalls selling all kinds of ancient and bronze artifacts. Although Li Changsheng couldn't tell if they were fake or not, he was sure that these things were definitely not magical artifacts. Seeing the disappointment on Li Changsheng's face, Yu Jingtang quickly explained, "The stalls outside don't have anything good. The real good stuff is inside." When Li Changsheng heard this, he suddenly understood. Thinking about it, how could those spirit treasures be put up for sale at a roadside stall? As for randomly picking up something from the side of the road and turning it into a powerful magic tool, perhaps it did happen sometimes, but the probability was too small. Along the way, the two of them saw many stall owners waving their hands to greet them. One of them was a guy with all kinds of beads hanging from his body. He was talking nonstop about the things in his hands and the stories of his travels to the north and south to find treasures. There were many people around, listening with great interest. However, most of them were just listening for fun. There were very few who were actually willing to buy. In this era where information technology was developed, many people had learned to be smart. Few people would spend a lot of money to buy a pile of scrap iron. Li Changsheng stood in the crowd and listened for a while. Then, he squatted down and bought a box made of sandalwood. The other party asked for 3,000 yuan. Li Changsheng was too lazy to bargain with him and directly handed him the money. Sir, this thing is worth about 1,800 yuan at most. It's a bit expensive. Yu Zhengtang reminded him. It's fine. Li Changsheng smiled. He knew that the other party had falsely quoted the price. How could Li Changsheng care about something that was only worth a few thousand yuan? Money could not buy what he wanted. However, after he bought the sandalwood box, many people around him revealed mocking expressions. Among them, an old man in a Tang suit shook his head. Let's go. Li Changsheng continued to shop. Along the way, Li Changsheng bought a lot of things. They were all small things. Sometimes the other party would ask for outrageous prices. Li Changsheng would occasionally bargain, but most of the time, he would give as much as he wanted. This amount of money was nothing to Li Changsheng. At first, Yu Zhengtang would occasionally remind Li Changsheng. But later, he understood that a powerhouse like Li Changsheng really treated money like dirt. Therefore, he was happy to watch the fun. Unknowingly, the two of them had already walked to the innermost part. They saw a luxurious building with several gatekeepers standing at the entrance. All the people here were cultivators. There were no ordinary people. Li Changsheng and Yu Zhengtang were about to enter when they were blocked. Tongbao Pavilion only accepts VIPs. Ordinary people are not allowed to enter. A middle-aged man in his 40s said coldly. At the side, Yu Zhengtang explained, the VIPs they're talking about are cultivators. However, it is inconvenient to reveal the matters of the cultivation world to ordinary people. Therefore, they use VIPs instead. You only need to show your magic power to enter. Hearing Yu Zhengtang's words, Li Changsheng immediately understood. Just as he was about to take a step forward, he saw two figures walking over before them. It was the old man in the Tang suit who stood beside Li Changsheng and Yu Zhengtang's stall. Beside the old man was a middle-aged man. The old man seemed to have recognized Li Changsheng. When the two of them saw Li Changsheng and Yu Zhengtang being blocked, they couldn't help but be surprised. The moment the old man appeared, the gatekeepers immediately showed a respectful expression and called out, Lord Huang. The old man smiled slightly, then waved his hand and whispered a few words to the middle-aged gatekeeper. After hearing the gatekeeper's answer, he turned back to look at Li Changsheng and Yu Zhengtang before turning around and walking in. After taking a few steps, the middle-aged man beside him asked, Lord Huang, do you know the two people at the entrance? The old man shook his head. I don't know him, but at that time I saw that kid as a hothead. He spent a lot of money to buy a bunch of worthless things outside and looked quite happy. When I saw them at the door, I thought they were cultivators. Sure enough, they weren't. Otherwise, I would have really doubted my judgment of people. So that's how it is. The middle-aged man also smiled. That young man looks very ordinary, but the old man next to him gives off a somewhat illusory feeling. However, I think I was overthinking. If he was really an expert, he wouldn't have been blocked at the entrance. Just as he finished speaking, a figure hurriedly walked out. It was actually a chief steward of Tongbao Pavilion. Steward Feng, why are you in such a hurry? The old man and this chief steward were clearly familiar with each other. Ah, it's Master Huang. There's a big shot outside. I'm hurrying to greet him so as not to neglect him. Even Lord Huang and the middle-aged man were somewhat puzzled. There was only one old man and one young man at the entrance. Could it be that they were some big shot? Just as this thought arose, the chief steward had already walked in front of Yu Zhengtang and bowed repeatedly with a charming smile on his face. Elder Yu, I'm honored by your arrival. Please forgive me for being late to greet you. Chapter 768. Yu Zhengtang was a dignified profound realm expert. In the entire cultivation world, he was a top-notch figure. In addition, the Xianyuan cult's headquarters was built not far from this city. He could be said to be a frequent visitor of this ghost city. Even the boss of the ghost city had to bow his head respectfully when he saw him, let alone a small steward. It's all right, but if you change the guards at the entrance in the future, Remember to let them see my picture so that I won't be blocked the next time I come. I don't want it to happen a second time. Yes, yes. The head steward wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, nodded and bowed. Although Yu Zhengtang was well-behaved in front of Li Changsheng, once he put on the airs of a finger-profound realm expert, he was awe-inspiring and intimidating. Please come in. The steward led Yu Zhengtang inside. At the same time, he secretly sized up Li Changsheng from the corner of his eyes. Yu Zhengtang didn't introduce Li Changsheng's identity, so he naturally didn't dare to ask. Watching them walk inside, Huang Boyi's eyes revealed a bit of surprise. It seems that there are times when this old man makes an error of judgment. The middle-aged man next to him, Jiang Bai, said, "Elder Huang, it's not that you made an error of judgment. The main thing is that the kid with him is too ordinary. No one would have thought that such a big shot would travel with such an ordinary person. After all, birds of a feather flock together." That's right. Huang Boyi nodded. Presumably, that young man is his nephew. Speaking of this, Huang Boyi felt a bit rueful. He also had some nephews who were good-for-nothings. Their cultivation aptitude was extremely poor. He couldn't promote them even if he wanted to. These words weren't just for show. Only those who had experienced it would know the helplessness within. Let's go. I heard that many big shots came today. Let's see if there's anyone who knows what's good for them. Li Changsheng and the others walked into the building. It was brightly lit and decorated in a very imposing manner. In the innermost position, there were rows of glass cabinets with all kinds of things inside. There was a small bronze cauldron, a black ruler, and a chime from the Western Zhou dynasty. Yu Jingtang, who was at the side, introduced, "There are artifacts and antiques here. However, even the most inferior antiques are priceless." Seeing Yu Zhengtang's attitude towards Li Changsheng, the chief manager was a bit surprised. He had thought that Li Changsheng was just a follower or a junior of Yu Zhengtang's. Now, it seemed that things weren't that simple. These outside are all low-level treasures. The real treasures are inside. The head steward hurriedly flattered. "All right, take us in and have a look." Yu Jingtang also hoped that Li Changsheng would be able to reap some benefits. That way, Li Changsheng would have a good impression of him. At that time, Yu Jingtang wouldn't kill him after he had outlived his usefulness. Under the lead of the chief manager, they walked to the innermost area. This area was obviously the most important place in the building. Even the ordinary cultivators outside couldn't easily step into it. The chief manager explained, "There are some very valuable artifacts here. Ordinary cultivators can't afford them. If you want to enter this place, you have to prove your strength. Of course, people like Elder, you might not necessarily take a fancy to the artifacts inside." The chief steward naturally flattered Yu Jingtang. After walking inside, they looked around. Sure enough, all of the artifacts were at the level of artifacts. These things are sold by our Tongbao Pavilion. This time, there's a treasure inside. The owner of the treasure is here. Why don't we go and take a look? As they walked inside, they saw many people surrounding a display case and pointing at it. After the chief manager came over, some people took the initiative to greet him. When they saw Yu Jingtang, some people became excited. Obviously, they recognized Yu Zhengtang's identity. On the display case was a three-legged, two-handled cauldron. Taoists said that Tao gave birth to one gave birth to two gave birth to three, and three gave birth to all things. This cauldron was known as the closest Tao artifact. "Elder Yu, what do you think of this item?" the chief manager asked flatteringly. "It's a good item." Yu Jingtang looked at Li Changsheng at the same time. However, Li Changsheng shook his head slightly. Although it's a good item, the good thing is that there are too few restrictions refined. The power it can display is limited. It's a waste of these precious materials. After hearing Li Changsheng's words, the chief manager opened his mouth to speak, but stopped. He wanted to refute Li Changsheng, but with Yu Zhengtang here, he didn't dare to offend Li Changsheng. He could only swallow his words. Yu Jingtang didn't care much about Li Changsheng's words. After all, for someone as terrifying as Li Changsheng, it was reasonable that he didn't care about this cauldron. However, when these words came out, some people were unhappy. "Little brother, do you know how to refine artifacts? How dare you criticize the person who refined the cauldron?" This cauldron was personally refined by Grandmaster Huang Boi. Elder Huang is an expert in refining artifacts. Now, even a clown dares to speak nonsense. The person who spoke was the middle-aged man next to Huang Boi, Jiang Bai. He was both Huang Boi's teacher and friend. Naturally, he couldn't bear to see others speaking ill of Huang Boi. Huang Boi, who was dressed in traditional Chinese attire, also had a look of anger on his face. He was famous all over the country and had a very arrogant personality. Now that he was being criticized by a hothead, how could he be happy? It would be fine if the other party was insightful and knowledgeable. However, he had personally seen the other party spend a lot of money to buy a bunch of counterfeits. How could he not be angry? If I say this artifact refining technique is bad, then it's bad. Do you think I'll praise some Grandmaster Huang just because he refined it? Li Changsheng said with disdain. Brat, you're very arrogant. Jiang Bai glared at him. The chief manager was afraid that there would be a conflict between the two parties. He quickly explained, Mr. Jiang, Elder Huang, this is Elder Yu Zhengtang from the Xianyuan sect. Huang Boi and Jiang Bai's expressions changed slightly when they heard the words Yu Zhengtang. There were only a handful of mysterious finger realm experts in the entire cultivation world. They naturally knew how powerful Yu Zhengtang was and finally understood why the chief manager was so polite to Yu Zhengtang. So it's Elder Yu. I'm Huang Boi. Greetings, Elder Yu. Huang Boi cupped his fists at Yu Zhengtang and then looked at Li Changsheng. Although you're Elder Yu's man, you can't just belittle my artifact refining technique. I'm not belittling you on purpose. I'm just stating the truth. Li Changsheng shook his head and then said to Yu Zhengtang, let's go. We'll look elsewhere. Wait a minute. Huang Boi spoke again. Friend, you bought a bunch of counterfeits outside, and now you're saying that my artifact refining technique is bad. It's really hard to accept. Yu Zhengtang brought Li Changsheng here to make Li Changsheng happy. If he angered Li Changsheng because of Huang Boi, it wouldn't be worth it. Seeing that the other party had the intention to pester him endlessly, he was just about to speak when he saw Huang Boi open his mouth once again. You criticize my refining skills as not good enough. Then unless you can take out a piece of work that you are proud of to surpass me, you will have to apologize to me. Hearing Huang Boi's words, many people looked at Li Changsheng. Yeah, since you're saying that his artifact refining technique is bad, then take out something better than his artifact. I didn't refine any artifact myself. Hearing Li Changsheng's words, everyone looked at him with disdain. Huang Boi sneered as if he had already guessed that Li Changsheng would say that. However, I can help you refine that small cauldron right now. What? When Li Changsheng's words came out, everyone present was stunned. Small cauldron? Refine it? Everyone looked at him with shock. Huang Boi was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. The artifact that he was proud of after painstakingly refining for a few years was called a small cauldron. It was too much. Chapter 769. Not to mention others, even Yu Zhengtang was surprised. Although Li Changsheng had shown great strength, it didn't mean that his refining skills were high. Even if he had a certain level of refining skills, could he be better than Huang Boi? Huang Boi was a very famous refining master in the cultivation world. Even Yu Zhengtang had heard of him before. Huang Boi was so angry that he laughed. A brat who's still wet behind the ears dares to speak so arrogantly. Good. I want to see how high your refining skills are. If your refining level is not as good as mine, then you'll have to kneel on the ground and kowtow 3 times to apologize to this old man. What if I win? Li Changsheng had a playful expression. If you win, I'll give you this cauldron. Okay. Li Changsheng nodded. The materials of your cauldron are barely passable. It's better than the things I found outside. Hearing Li Changsheng's evaluation, Huang Boi was even angrier. He had seen with his own eyes the things that Li Changsheng had found outside. They were all trash that couldn't be brought to the table. Li Changsheng actually compared the treasures he refined to the trash outside. This was simply an insult to him. Brat, don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and start refining. But I can see that you don't even have a bit of Jinyuan. You can't be asking Elder Yu for help, right? But even if you ask Elder Yu for help, it doesn't matter. I don't mind. Huang Boyi said confidently. In terms of cultivation, he definitely didn't dare to compare with Yu Zhongtang. But in terms of refining, he was still very confident in himself. In his opinion, the reason Li Changsheng dared to speak so arrogantly was because of Yu Zhongtang, who said, "I don't have Jinqi." Li Changsheng reached out and picked up the cauldron. He placed it on his hand and slowly observed it. The surrounding people were somewhat impatient. What is he doing? If he wants to refine, then hurry up. Don't waste time. Take the cauldron and look at it. I think he's just putting on an act and stalling for time. He listened to the discussion of the people around him. Li Changsheng suddenly raised his head and said, "Shut up, all of you. What do you know?" For a moment, anger appeared on many people's faces. However, when they saw Yu Zhongtang standing beside Li Changsheng, they suppressed the urge to beat up Li Changsheng. At this moment, Li Changsheng finally made his move. He suddenly threw the cauldron in his hand into the air. When the cauldron fell, he suddenly pointed his finger. At this moment, a mysterious aura emanated from Li Changsheng's body. The cauldron was also fixed in the air, constantly spinning. At the same time, flames flew out from Li Changsheng's fingers and wrapped around the cauldron. What kind of flame is this? Why do I feel a palpitating aura? This guy is really hiding his strength. I thought he was just an ordinary person, but now it seems that he has some real strength. Seeing Li Changsheng use the underworld flames, many people's faces changed. So he's good at using flames. Those who are good at using flames do have a great advantage in refining tools. However, if he thinks that he can surpass me by using flames, then he's too naive. Huang Boyi's face was as confident as ever. As a dignified master refiner, he naturally knew that refining an artifact was definitely not a simple matter, not to mention that Li Changsheng wanted to surpass him in a very short period of time. Even master refiners of the same level as him would not be able to do so. All right, Li Changsheng withdrew his finger, and the cauldron fell into his hand. So simple. Huang Boyi was stunned. Then he stroked his beard and laughed. "Ha! Young man, are you kidding me? In such a short time, not to mention you, even if the founder of the refiner school came back to life, he would not be able to increase the restrictions on the magic tool." The surrounding people could not help but shake their heads. Originally, when Li Changsheng used flames, they were quite surprised, but now they felt very speechless. This was clearly fooling everyone. Even the founder of the refiner school is not as good as me. Li Changsheng smiled slightly, his face full of pride. However, when he said this, Huang Boyi's face showed anger. "Boy, you really dare to say anything. You don't even put the founder in your eyes. Who do you think you are?" The surrounding people were also very dissatisfied with Li Changsheng. To treat the ancestors with respect, not to put the ancestors in your eyes, this was simply arrogant to the extreme. Li Changsheng turned a blind eye to the crowd's words and directly threw the three-legged, two-eared cauldron in his hand to Huang Boyi. Huang Boyi's face was indifferent at first, but when he took a look at the cauldron in his hand, his face showed shock. Then it became deep shock, and his voice became trembling. How is this possible? Originally, his three-legged, two-eared cauldron was a low-level magic treasure with 300 layers of Earth Fiend restrictions, which was already very powerful. But now, he found that the number of Earth Fiend restrictions in the cauldron had increased to 1,200. The most terrifying thing was that in addition to the 1,200 layers of Earth Fiend restrictions, there were also 600 layers of Heaven Spirit restrictions, which allowed this low-level magic treasure to be upgraded to a high-level magic treasure. Even if Huang Boyi refined this round cauldron for another 10 years, he might not be able to reach this level. From the beginning to the end, Li Changsheng only used 1 minute. It was too terrifying to be able to achieve this in 1 minute. Everyone paid attention to Huang Boyi's expression, although in the beginning, they thought that Li Changsheng was bragging in their hearts. When they saw the change in Huang Boyi's expression, many of them faintly guessed in their hearts, but they still did not dare to believe it. I've said before, your refining technique is too trashy. Li Changsheng ridiculed mercilessly. How can you say that? Jiang Bai, who was at the side, immediately glared at Li Changsheng. He was very dissatisfied with Li Changsheng. If it were not for Yu Jingtang's strength, he would have attacked Li Changsheng and taught Li Changsheng a lesson. As soon as he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Huang Boyi. "Don't be rude to Master." "Master?" Jiang Bai was a little stunned for a moment. Then, Huang Boyi solemnly held up the round cauldron with both hands and handed it to Li Changsheng. "Master's refining technique has reached the level of perfection which is beyond my reach. According to the bet, this round cauldron is given to Master. I hope Master will kindly accept it." Li Changsheng nodded and put away the round cauldron. Then, Huang Boyi solemnly bowed to Li Changsheng. According to historical records, the founder of the blacksmith sect could control the 9 true flames to refine Dharma treasures, which could instantly raise the Dharma treasures by 3 levels. In the past, I thought it was only a legend, but I never thought that I would see the real person today. Master skills are not inferior to the founder of the blacksmith sect. You're really a god. I've said before, I'm stronger than the founder of the blacksmith sect, Li Changsheng said lightly. This time, Huang Boyi's face did not have the slightest hint of displeasure. "Master, you're already so skilled at such a young age. It's indeed possible for you to surpass the founder of the blacksmith sect in the future," Huang Boyi said with incomparable respect. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all dumbfounded. This young man was actually so powerful, which was really unbelievable. Chapter 770. At this moment, everyone looked at Li Changsheng in a different light. After all, even the famous blacksmith, Huang Boyi, was so respectful to Li Changsheng. This meant that Li Changsheng's blacksmithing skills were truly high. To have such accomplishments at such a young age, he's not simple. Heroes come from the young. I just saw that this young man was extraordinary. Amazing. If my son was half as outstanding as him, I would be able to die in peace. At first, there were all kinds of mockery, but in the blink of an eye, it turned into praise. There was no shortage of fence-sitters in this world. Li Changsheng originally didn't have a good impression of Huang Boyi, but now that Huang Boyi was so respectful to him, he cleared his throat and said, "Work hard. One day, you will reach my level." These words immediately made Huang Boyi excited. "Grandmaster, really? Can I really reach your level?" Seeing his excited appearance, Li Changsheng was speechless. He had just casually said something, but it made him so happy. "Okay, I still have to walk around somewhere else. Don't follow me." Li Changsheng couldn't stand everyone's enthusiasm and said. Although Huang Boyi really wanted to ask Li Changsheng for advice on refining artifacts, but since Li Changsheng had said so, he naturally didn't dare to follow by his side. Li Changsheng and Yu Jingtang began to stroll around. Yu Jingtang looked at Li Changsheng in a completely different light. A person's terrifying talent and cultivation was enough to make others despair, but Li Changsheng crushed everyone in every aspect. Yu Jingtang couldn't help but sigh. There are some people in this world who are the children of heaven. They are blessed by the heavenly Tao. There is no way to compare. Although Li Changsheng had told Huang Boyi and the others not to follow him, he could feel countless gazes secretly sizing him up due to what had happened just now. Li Changsheng, who was wandering around, suddenly saw an ancient piece of jade on the display stand in front of him. Its shape was somewhat peculiar. After a closer inspection, his eyes couldn't help but light up. It was actually a high-quality soul-nurturing jade. This kind of jade was very rare. If it was refined into a magic tool and worn on the body, it would be very beneficial to the growth of one's spiritual power. Seeing Li Changsheng stop here, some people around also looked over. Just now, many people had seen Li Changsheng's extraordinariness. Naturally, the things he paid attention to easily aroused the interest of others. The seller of the soul-nurturing jade was an old man with a long white beard. He had a sage-like demeanor. It was a pity that he was wearing modern clothes. If he wore a white robe, he would really become an old immortal in people's eyes. "How is it? Did you take a fancy to this piece of jade? I'll sell it for 80 million. Hearing the other party's bid, a burst of exclamations came from the crowd. Although cultivators didn't value money as much as people in the secular world, the path of cultivation still required wealth, companions, techniques, and a place. 80 million was definitely not a small number. Unexpectedly, after hearing the other party's words, Li Chongqing nodded without hesitation. I'll buy it for 80 million. He handed a bank card to the old man, and a POS machine appeared in the old man's hand like magic. Nowadays, cultivators were also keeping up with the times. At this moment, a slender hand suddenly reached over and picked up the jade on the display table like lightning. This jade is good. I'll buy it. When he turned around, he saw a woman in her 30s wearing a green cheongsam playing with a piece of jade. Beside her was a beautiful woman around 17 or 18. She was wearing hot pants and was dressed very fashionably. I've already bought this jade first. Li Chongqing couldn't help but frown and say, this soul-nurturing jade was a rare treasure. Although the other party was beautiful, he wouldn't give the treasure to her just because she was beautiful. I know you bought it, but you haven't paid for it yet, have you? I'll buy it. I'll pay 85 million. How about you get it to me? I can also give you an extra 500,000. You don't have to do anything, and you're getting 500,000 for nothing. How can there be such a profitable business in the world? I don't care about your 500,000. Li Chongqing said coldly. The other party's eyes were a bit surprised, but soon turned cold. She looked at the old man and said, I'm from the Mu family in Dianan. Are you selling this jade to him or to me? When the old man heard the other party say her name, his face suddenly changed. He hesitated for a moment and looked at Li Chongqing. Young man, I'm really sorry. I can't sell this jade to you. Obviously, the young woman's family was very powerful. Just by saying her name, the old man was scared. Is the Mu family that great? Yu Jingtang suddenly said coldly. He was about to stand up, but Li Chongqing shook his head and stopped him. Although this jade was precious, it wasn't worth Li Chongqing fighting with others for it. It's okay. Li Chongqing smiled at the old man and then walked to the side with Yu Jingtang. The Cheongsam girl curled her lips in disdain. You know what's good for you? You dare to go against the Mu family in Dianan? You're tired of living. The beautiful girl next to her couldn't help but say, Sister, although the Mu family is very prestigious in Dianan, it's easy to make enemies for the Mu family if you keep taking things by force. Hearing the beautiful girl's words, the Cheongsam girl immediately glared at her. Shaoan, how can you talk about your sister like that? Besides, I'm buying things at a fair price. How can you call it taking things by force? And that kid just now looked like a country bumpkin. So what if I offended him? Can an ant bite an elephant to death? Hearing the Cheongsam girl's words, Mu shook her head and didn't know what to say. At this moment, the chief manager hurried to Li Chongqing's side. Elder Yu, Mr. Li, our boss has decided to hold an auction. Are you interested in participating? Why is there an auction? Is there some rare treasure to be sold? Yu Zhengtang asked. He knew that there must be some treasure to be sold in an auction. Yes, there was a seller who just put up an item for sale. It's an incomplete ancient magic treasure. Yu Zhengtang couldn't help but look at Li Chongqing. Mr. Li, what do you think? Of course I'm going to participate. And I'm also very curious about what kind of ancient magic treasure it is. Under the guidance of the chief manager, the two came to the inner hall and saw that many people had already sat down. However, not long after they sat down, they saw the Cheongsam girl and the beautiful girl also came in. Moreover, they saw Li Chongqing and Mu won her at a glance. The Cheongsam girl snorted and sat down not far away. The girl hesitated for a moment and then walked directly to Li Chongqing. Sir, I'm really sorry. My sister is a little spoiled and rude. I apologize for what happened just now. After the girl finished speaking, she bowed deeply to Li Chongqing. Li Chongqing was about to speak when he saw the Cheongsam girl stride over. She directly pulled her sister up and said, Who does he think he is to make you bow to him? Not to mention snatching a piece of jade from him. Even if you break his legs, he has to obediently accept it. After the girl finished speaking, she directly pulled Mu Wanner to her seat. Mu Wanner looked back at Li Chongqing apologetically. However, when she saw the coldness in Li Chongqing's eyes, she couldn't help but shiver. What a pair of terrifying eyes. If it weren't for the Mu family behind her, she would have taken her sister and fled the scene. Chapter 771. The auction is about to begin. Everyone, please take your seats. The chief steward stood on the high platform, and his magnetic voice spread throughout the hall. The hall immediately fell silent. Today's auction will be auctioning a heavyweight magic treasure. Let's invite the owner of the treasure. As soon as he finished speaking, an old man walked up with a majestic gait, opened the wooden box in his hand, and took out a stone-like furnace. This is an ancient magic treasure that I found in a relic. This furnace should be a spirit treasure, but it's a pity that it's damaged. This stone is quite extraordinary. After the old man finished speaking, many people in the hall craned their heads to look. The furnace was indeed extraordinary, but it lacked a lid and was damaged in many places. It was obvious that it couldn't exert its power. However, it made sense. If it could exert its power, who would sell such a treasure? They would keep it as heirloom. But even so, it was still very valuable. If there was a chance to repair it, it would be worth it. Is this really a magic treasure? Although this stone looks extraordinary, who knows if it's fake? Not only were ordinary antiques fake, but there were also all kinds of fakes in the world of cultivation. Regarding the problem that everyone is worried about, we have specially invited Mr. Huang Boyi, a master refiner of our world of cultivation. Hearing Huang Boyi's name, there was immediately a commotion in the hall. Who was Huang Boyi? He could be said to be the authority in refining weapons in the world of cultivation. Others might not be able to tell if a magic treasure was an imitation, but if they asked him to appraise it, everyone would be convinced. Soon, Huang Boyi walked up to the high platform under everyone's gaze. He picked up the stone furnace and carefully examined it for a long time, but his brows were tightly furrowed. "Mr. Huang, what do you think?" The chief steward asked cautiously. "This furnace contains a sacred aura, but I can't sense a trace of restriction. Moreover, it's the first time I've seen this material, so I don't dare to make a conclusion." Hearing Huang Boyi's words, there was a commotion in the hall. Even the master refiner, Huang Boyi, can't be sure. Who would dare to buy it? The seller of the stone furnace, the old man, looked a little disappointed. He had studied this stone furnace for decades, but to no avail. He had hoped to find someone who knew what it was and sell it for a good price, but now it seemed that he was going to fail. Since Huang Boyi said that he couldn't tell if it was real or fake, no one dared to buy it. Although I can't tell if it's real or fake, there's a real master refiner here. Why don't we ask him to come up and appraise it? A true master refiner? Many people were looking around. Huang Boyi was already the most authoritative person in the cultivation world. Who else could be more powerful than him? The head steward instantly knew who Huang Boyi was referring to. He looked towards Li Changxing's position. "Mr. Li, would it be possible for you to come up on stage and examine Changzhang's eyes?" "All right." At this moment, Li Changxing stood up. Countless gazes fell on him. The Chongsam girl Mu Exen, and her younger sister Mu Wan, were both surprised. "Are you kidding me? This person is so young. How could he be a master refiner?" Grandmaster Huang is joking, right? When many people saw Li Changxing's age, they immediately became suspicious. At this moment, Li Changxing had already stepped onto the high platform. The old man selling the stone furnace frowned. Obviously, he didn't believe that Li Changxing was a master. Moreover, there were so many people present who doubted Li Changxing. Even if Li Changxing confirmed the value of his stone furnace, no one would believe him. The old man was about to speak. Huang Boyi had already spoken. "Mr. Li's refining skills are unprecedented and will never be surpassed. It's your fortune that Mr. Li is willing to appraise it for you." Huang Boyi was a little angry. In his opinion, it was a great honor to be able to invite Li Changxing, but the old man was still a little unwilling. Seeing that Huang Boyi was about to get angry, the old man hurriedly nodded. "I wouldn't dare. Mr. Li, please appraise it." At this moment, many people who had seen Li Changxing's refining skills had already begun to spread the news of Li Changxing's deeds. "This Mr. Li is amazing. He can control the flame, and increased the restriction of the celestial artifact by several times within a minute. Yes, he competed with Grandmaster Huang and even won a round cauldron. This person is amazing at such a young age. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Hearing the discussion around them, the Cheongsam girl Mu Xian Er's face suddenly turned ugly. Although the Mu family in Dianan was very powerful in this area, the connections of a master refiner were terrifying. They had offended Li Changsheng. If Li Changsheng wanted to deal with the Mu family, it could really shake the foundation of the Mu family. Thinking about what her sister said at that time, the Cheongsam girl began to regret it. Sister, now you know you've kicked an iron plate, right? I told you not to judge a book by its cover and not to make enemies easily, but you didn't listen. Mu On-er complained. When she saw Li Changxing's terrifying eyes, she felt a little uneasy. How could an ordinary person have such terrifying eyes? Now, her worries were finally confirmed. Not to mention other things, with Grandmaster Huang's status in the cultivation world, if he wanted to deal with the Mu family, he could make the Mu family suffer, let alone Li Changsheng, who was praised by Grandmaster Huang. Moreover, Li Changsheng was so young. Who knew what kind of power was behind him? Humph! I think that Huang guy is just talking nonsense. How could he be a master refiner at such a young age? We don't have to be afraid of him at all. Although the Cheongsam girl felt uneasy, she refused to admit her mistake. Sigh. Mu On-er sighed. I hope so. On the high platform, Li Changsheng had already picked up the stone furnace and began to study it carefully. However, the more he looked, the more serious his face became. Stone tools could be traced back to ancient times, just like the stone seal he obtained in the Jinwu ruins last time. This stone furnace had a similar aura to that stone seal. The Great Tao was simple, returning to simplicity. This stone furnace was not simple. Seeing Li Changxing's frown, the old man next to him became nervous. He was afraid that Li Changsheng would say the same thing as Grandmaster Huang. Then he would not be able to sell this thing today. How is Mr. Li? Grandmaster Huang was also curious. He also felt that this stone furnace was somewhat extraordinary, but he could not see through its mystery, so he did not dare to jump to conclusions. This should be an authentic product. Li Changsheng finally spoke. The old man immediately let out a long sigh of relief. It's just that the restrictions inside have been destroyed. With such great damage, it's very difficult to repair it. Even if the founder of the craftsman sect came back to life, he could not do it. Li Changxing concluded. The old man's face suddenly fell. Indeed, so what if it was authentic? If it could not be repaired, it was still a waste. The people who were eager to try and sell it fell silent at this moment. At this moment, Li Changxing looked at the old man. How much do you want to sell this stone furnace? I want to buy it. The old man's face was stunned. The old man was already in despair, but after hearing Li Changxing's question, his face showed hesitation. Indeed, it was very likely that Li Changsheng deliberately said that the stone furnace was worthless so that he could take advantage of the situation. However, many people in the hall had the same thought. Some people had already begun to raise their hands. I'll pay 50 million yuan. I'll pay 80 million yuan. Hearing these bids, Li Changsheng took out a bone fan and placed it on the stone table. I'll barter. If you nod, you can have this fan. If you shake your head, then forget I said anything. Li Changxing was indeed interested in this stone furnace, but even he could not repair it for the time being. He was willing to exchange this bone fan because it was useless to him. Otherwise, this stone furnace would not be worth it. Chapter 772. The aura on the fan is very strange. The old man looked a little excited when Li Changsheng put the fan on the table. Since he was able to get something like the stone furnace and enter the ancient ruins, it meant that his strength was not ordinary. When he opened the fan, his eyes immediately became surprised. Is this the inherited treasure of the Purple Fan School? The old man's hand trembled. He thought of the recent news that the entire Purple Fan School was trampled and burned to ashes. When he saw the inherited treasure of the Purple Fan School, he immediately understood something. When he looked at Li Changxing again, His eyes were filled with respect. How about it? Do you want to trade? Li Changsheng was still as calm as ever. However, the old man's eyes had completely changed. Trade, of course. He believed that there was no need for an expert like Li Changsheng to cheat him, because there was nothing he could do if an expert who could destroy the Purple Fan School wanted to rob him. All right. Li Changsheng put away the stone furnace. However, some people below were unhappy. What's going on? You said you were here to auction something. Why did you just trade it away? Are you kidding us? I want to ask you to take it out and let us auction it again. Everyone present was a cultivator, and several of them had considerable power in southern Yunnan. Seeing how angry these people were, the woman in the Cheongsam suddenly sneered and said to her sister Mu Wan, "Little Wan, watch this. This kid has accidentally angered everyone. You want to have a good time. Everyone be quiet. Don't get too worked up." The chief steward shouted. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to him. "I'm the boss of Tong Bao Company. Please give me some face." A middle-aged man also stood up. However, the people did not buy his words. "Kid, hurry up and take out the stone furnace." "Yes, we still want to auction it. Since it's being auctioned, no one can break the rules." Several powerful Taoist cultivators had already stepped forward. The atmosphere was tense, and it seemed that they would fight if there was any disagreement. Many people stood in the dark to watch the show. Until now, there were still many people who did not believe that Li Changsheng was a master blacksmith. "All of you shut up." At this moment, a loud and clear voice rang out, and it instantly covered all the voices in the area. Yu Zhengtang stepped forward. "What are you?" A monkey-like old man pointed at Yu Zhengtang and cursed. "I'm the weeping Taoist of West River." When the monkey-faced old man announced his name, his face was filled with pride. Clearly, he believed that his name was enough to intimidate Yu Zhengtang. However, in the next moment, Yu Zhengtang did not hesitate to throw out a palm strike. The surging palm strike landed directly on the crying Taoist's chest. Taoist weeping was sent flying and crashed into the wooden door, creating a hole in it and falling outside. The crying Taoist had a great influence in Dianan and was very strong. However, no one had expected that he would be sent flying with a single palm strike. Suddenly, the noisy scene quieted down. "I'll kill you." Soon, Taoist Weeping's sharp and angry voice came from outside the door. He kicked the door open and rushed in. His hands formed into claws as he pounced towards Yu Zhengtang. "You're courting death." Yu Zhengtang clenched his palm into a fist and threw out a punch. A powerful force surged out. This time, it landed directly on Taoist Weeping's head. With a loud bang, Taoist Weeping was sent flying out of the door again. This time, Taoist Weeping was bleeding from his 7 orifices. He fell to the ground and struggled to get up, but he could not. Obviously, this punch had taken away half of his life. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. If the crying Taoist Weeping did not react in time and underestimated Yu Zhengtang in the first punch, then he was sent flying for the second time purely because of strength. "Who are you? How can you hurt people as you wish?" A few people who were close to Taoist Weeping questioned loudly. Although they were afraid of Yu Zhengtang's strength, they were not that afraid because of their background. Xianyuan sect's grand elder, Yu Zhengtang. Yu Zhengtang said slowly. As he took a step forward, the aura of the Finger Profound Realm instantly spread out. Finger Profound Realm Expert. Everyone's expression changed. Yu Zhengtang's name was very famous in the topmost south. In an instant, those who questioned him subconsciously shrunk their necks and showed fear on their faces. A Vajra Realm expert was already considered an expert in the cultivation world, let alone a Finger Profound Realm expert who stood at the peak of martial arts. Is Yu Zhengtang. The Cheongsam girl's heart skipped a beat. She remembered that Yu Zhengtang and Li Changsheng were very close. What should we do? Is that Li Changsheng Yu Zhengtang's nephew? I actually offended him. The Cheongsam girl, Mu Xian had a worried look on her face. Her sister, Mu Wan could not help but shake her head. Sister, what should we do? He is a Finger Profound Realm expert. If he wants to take revenge on our family, I'm afraid no one in our family can stop him. Just when everyone was shocked by Yu Jingtang's identity, Yu Jingtang had already walked up to the high platform and cupped his hands to Li Changsheng. Mr. Li, these bastards are acting recklessly. Do you want me to teach them a lesson? As he spoke, he looked in the direction of Mu Xen and her sister. And this woman, she dared to offend Mr. Li just now. She really deserves to die. Hearing Yu Zhengtang's words, Mu Xen and Mu Wan-er's hearts were in their mouths, and their bodies were tense. Their lives were already in Li Changsheng's hands. The other people who had spoken rudely to Li Changsheng just now were also pale. Bean-sized beads of sweat kept falling, and their legs and stomachs were trembling. It seems like my guess was right to make Yu Zhengtang, a finger-profound realm expert from the Xinyuan sect, so respectful. The old man held the white bone fan in his hand tightly. His eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Li Changsheng. Forget it. I don't want to bother with these people. When Li Changsheng said that, everyone present let out a long sigh of relief. Yes, Yu Jingtang nodded. Actually, he hoped that Li Changsheng would let him go on a killing spree to show his loyalty. At that time, perhaps Li Changsheng would forgive him on account of his good behavior. Let's go. We got the thing. It's getting late. We should go back. Li Changsheng got down from the platform and was about to walk out of the room. At this moment, Mu Xen hesitated for a moment and hurriedly walked up to him. Mr. Li, please wait a moment. She was holding the soul-nurturing jade in her hand and respectfully handed it to Li Changsheng. Mr. Li, I apologize for offending you. Please accept this jade. Li Changsheng looked at Mu Xen, who had changed from arrogance to deference. He couldn't help but smile playfully. Forget it. Keep this soul-nurturing jade for yourself. Be more humble in the future. Don't look down on others. Not all experts have a good temper like me. After saying that, Li Changsheng turned around and left, leaving Mu Xen, whose face was flushed red. On the other hand, Mu stared blankly at Li Changsheng's back. Her eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Chapter 773. Sir, why don't you accept the soul-nurturing jade from the Mu family? The Mu family offended you, but you only asked for a piece of jade. The punishment is already light enough. Yu Jingtang looked at Li Changsheng in confusion. I don't care about a piece of soul-nurturing jade. Otherwise, I would have made a move when she chose to snatch it from me. Yu Jingtang shuddered when he heard Li Changsheng's words. He knew that Li Changsheng was not joking. He did feel the bone-chilling murderous intent from Li Changsheng just now. This Mr. Li was really not a kind person. It was already past 4 in the morning when the two returned to the hotel. After waking up, they rented a car outside the hotel and drove directly to the Xinyuan sect's headquarters. The Xinyuan sect's headquarters was located in the depths of the mountain. The car could only reach the periphery of the mountain. They had to walk inside. When the car stopped at the periphery, they saw 2 other cars parked there as well. There were also a few people gathered around and discussing something. They turned around when they heard the sound of the car. It was the sisters Mu Xiner and Mu Wan-er. There were also a few men. The leader was a middle-aged man with a dignified face. It was obvious that he had been in a high position for a long time. That's Elder Yu Jingtang, Mu Xiner said to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man immediately came up and saluted. I'm Mu Yuansheng, the head of the Mu family in Dianan. Greetings, Elder Yu. What are you doing here? Yu Jingtang frowned. I heard that the Xinyuan sect has a kind of elixir called the Scarlet Scorching Pill. I have a son who was born with a cold meridian. He is tortured by illness every day and is now dying. I'm here to ask for the elixir and bring 2 unfilial daughters to apologize. I heard that they offended Elder Yu yesterday. They didn't offend me. They just offended Mr. Li. Our Xinyuan sect does have the Scarlet Scorching Pill, but I advise you to go back the way you came. I'm afraid the Xinyuan sect doesn't have time to entertain outsiders recently. Yu Jingtang knew that once Li Changsheng arrived at the Xinyuan cult's headquarters, he might cause a lot of trouble. Therefore, he said this out of goodwill. Mu Yuansheng shook his head and said, Elder Yu, I'm afraid that my child won't be able to hold on for long. That's why I must ask the Xianyuan school for the pills. Elder Yu, you are the great elder of the Xianyuan school. As long as you agree, my family will give you anything in exchange. The scarlet scorching pellet is extremely precious, even for my Xianyuan school. Only a few pellets were refined by the previous headmaster. They are not in my hands. Therefore, it is useless for you to beg me. Moreover, our headmaster has not come out of seclusion for many years. Therefore, I am afraid that you are destined to come here in vain. Let's go back. My son's life is in danger. Even if there's only 1% of hope, I will not give up. Mu Yuanxing said with a firm expression. Do as you please. Yu Zhengtang didn't want to talk too much. The Xianyuan cult was about to undergo a huge change. If the Mu clan was to get involved in this mess, they would die without a trace. Li Changsheng and Yu Jingtang continued to move forward. The Mu clan people followed behind them. After about half a day, they finally saw a valley in front of them. The valley was surrounded by clouds and mist. It was obviously protected by a formation. Where are the disciples guarding the formation? I am Elder Yu Jingtang. Yu Jingtang stepped forward and his voice spread far away. Soon, the clouds inside gradually dispersed and a few disciples walked out. Elder Yu, you are back. As the great elder of the Xianyuan school, Yu Jingtang had a very high status in the school. The disciples guarding the formation looked at Li Changsheng and the Mu clan people behind him. This is Mr. Li. He is my guest. As for the others, they are all from a Mu clan in Dianan. They are here to ask for the scarlet scorching pellet. You can arrange a room for them first. Then, I will ask the great elders. In the Xianyuan school, there were 3 great elders besides the headmaster, Ji Lushui. Yu Jingtang could only be ranked 5th. Okay. The disciple didn't dare to go against Yu Zhengtang's words. He nodded and led the Mu clan people inside. After the disciple left, Yu Zhengtang looked at Li Changsheng. Mr. Li, I have brought you to the Xianyuan school. Can you help me remove the restriction? Yu Jingtang was most worried about Li Changsheng not fulfilling his promise. He brought Li Changsheng to the Xianyuan school's headquarters, and Li Changsheng didn't remove the restriction for him. Why are you in such a hurry? Li Changsheng smiled and ignored Yu Jingtang. He said directly, arrange a place for me to stay first. I want to see how the Xianyuan school is now. Also, tell me the location of Ji Liushui's seclusion. This, Yu Jingtang was a little hesitant. You don't have to tell me. I am already in Xianyuan school's headquarters. I can find it myself. But don't expect me to remove the restriction on you. Okay. Yu Jingtang lowered his head dispiritedly. He felt that he had committed a grave sin by bringing Li Changsheng back to the Xianyuan school and telling him the location of the Xianyuan school seclusion. The two walked into the valley. Many people took the initiative to salute Yu Jingtang. Everyone had a respectful expression. It seemed that Yu Jingtang had a high status in the Xianyuan school. The two hadn't walked far when the ground suddenly trembled. Waves were rolling in a deep pool in front of them. What's going on? Many of the surrounding disciples revealed looks of shock on their faces. Even Yu Jingtang was nervous. The water in the deep pool surged, forming a whirlpool. Then, a pitch-black flood dragon stretched out its ferocious head and charged directly at Li Changsheng. It's the guardian divine beast. Why'd it rush out? This divine beast has been living in the pool and never shows itself. What's going on? The disciples of the Xianyuan school exclaimed. Yu Jingtang stood in front of Li Changsheng and was about to do something. But he was stopped by Li Changsheng with a wave of his hand. The huge flood dragon stretched its head in front of Li Changsheng. Its eyes seemed to be filled with joy. It's you. Li Changsheng reached out and touched the flood dragon's head. The flood dragon was abnormally obedient and prostrated on the ground. This scene stunned the surrounding disciples of the Xianyuan school. What's going on? Why is the guardian divine beast of my school so intimate with that young man? It's unbelievable. The disciples here knew that the flood dragon lived in the deep pool and had a bad temper. It would warn any disciple who dared to come within 3 feet of the pool. Today's scene shocked them. A gentle smile appeared on Li Changsheng's face. More than 30 years ago, He brought back a small black flood dragon from Nanjiang. He often fed it pills. He didn't expect that after so many years, the black flood dragon would still remember him. Chapter 774. Seeing the black flood dragon and Li Changsheng being so intimate, many people's eyes almost popped out. At this moment, there was a sound of something breaking through the air, and a figure quickly approached. I heard that the black flood dragon went crazy. Did it hurt anyone? A middle-aged man held a whip in his hand. Elder Wang is here. Elder Wang is responsible for raising the black flood dragon. This black flood dragon is temperamental. The sect master gave Elder Wang a beast-controlling whip that can restrain the black flood dragon. The moment Elder Wang appeared, Li Changsheng could clearly feel the fear in the black flood dragon's eyes. Black flood dragon, you dare to come out and scare people instead of staying in the pool. See if I don't teach you a lesson. Elder Wang raised the whip in his hand and whipped the black flood dragon's body. When the whip fell, the scales on the black flood dragon's body could be seen immediately falling off, and dark green blood flowed out. Woo! The black flood dragon let out a whine and angrily stared at Elder Wang. You still dare to stare at me? Elder Wang raised the whip again. When the whip was about to fall on the black flood dragon's body, it was suddenly grabbed by a hand and blocked. Who are you? Elder Wang's face suddenly showed a bit of anger. This is my Xinyuan school's matter. Who are you? Whether it's a distinguished guest or an ordinary guest, get out of my way immediately. Otherwise, be careful. I won't be polite to you. However, as soon as his voice fell, Li Changsheng's hand exerted force, and the whip was already snatched by Li Changsheng. You dare to snatch my whip? Elder Wang suddenly became furious. With a wave of his hand, he pulled out a sword and stabbed at Li Changsheng. You don't know life from death. Pa! He raised his hand and hit Elder Wang's wrist. Elder Wang's sword flew out of his hand. At the same time, he kicked Elder Wang's lower abdomen. Elder Wang was kicked to the ground. Just as he was about to get up, Li Changsheng had already raised the whip and lashed it at him. Pa! This whip was a high-grade magic weapon. At this moment, under Li Changsheng's control, a golden light flickered on top of it as it lashed out at Elder Wang's body. Immediately, his skin and flesh were lacerated. How dare you hit me? Elder Wang's eyes were filled with resentment. Li Changsheng unceremoniously lashed out with his whip again. Pa-pa-pa-pa. The sound of whips cracking could be heard. At first, Elder Wang was still able to let out a few angry words, but later on, he was hugging his head and rolling on the ground. The surrounding disciples of the Xinyuan school were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do. Li Changsheng was a guest brought back by Yu Jingtang. As the great elder, Yu Jingtang didn't move, so no one dared to stop Li Changsheng. They just let Li Changsheng beat Elder Wang. Finally, after more than 10 minutes, Li Changsheng finally stopped his actions. Elder Wang had already been beaten until his entire body was a bloody mess. He was lying on the ground, trembling nonstop. Li Changsheng said coldly, If you dare to hurt the black flood dragon again, I'll peel your skin and pull out your tendons and feed you to the black flood dragon. After he finished speaking, Li Changsheng pulled the golden whip with both hands and directly broke it into two. Then, he threw it on Elder Wang's body and turned his head to lovingly pet the black dragon's head. The black flood dragon whimpered. The black flood dragon was brought back by Li Changsheng and was carefully raised. It could be said that it was Li Changsheng's pet. When Li Changsheng was in charge of the Changsheng school, the black flood dragon was the guardian beast of the school. At that time, it had a very high status, and the disciples of the school were very fond of it. However, when it saw the black flood dragon this time, it was obviously more violent. At first, Li Changsheng thought that the black flood dragon had grown up and its nature had been stimulated. However, he now understood that it wasn't like that. It was because the Xinyuan school was too unfriendly to the black flood dragon. This Ji Lushui really deserves to die. He erased my teachings and erased my traces. He didn't even let the black flood dragon go. Li Changsheng patted the black flood dragon's head and whispered, don't worry. From now on, no one can bully you anymore. Go back to the pool and recover." The Black Flood Dragon obeyed Li Chongqing's words and nodded obediently. Then it turned into a black light and directly jumped into the pool. Yu Zhongtang glanced at Elder Wang, who was lying on the ground, and ordered the disciples next to him, "Why aren't you taking Elder Wang to be treated?" After that, he looked at Li Chongsheng. "Mr. Li, you can stay in my courtyard first. As for the place where the headmaster is in seclusion, I'll take you there at midnight." "Okay." Li Chongqing nodded. He wasn't afraid of Yu Zhongtang's tricks. He had placed a restriction on Yu Zhongtang's body. Except for himself, no one could undo it. After Li Chongsheng and Yu Zhongtang left, the disciples finally dared to speak loudly. "Who exactly is that young man? He's too bold to come to our Xianyuan cult and beat up Elder Wang. Elder Yu is quite polite to him. He must have an extraordinary identity. Even if he has an extraordinary identity, he's too arrogant. This is our Xianyuan cult. How can an outsider like him behave so atrociously?" Many people complained about Li Chongsheng. On the other side, the Mu family was arranged to an ordinary guest room. Mu Yuansheng frowned. "The scarlet scorching pill is very precious. I'm afraid we'll have to pay a high price to get it from a Xianyuan cult. As long as we can save my brother, we're willing to pay any price." Mu Wanner said. "But I'm afraid the Xianyuan cult won't want it even if we pay the price." The Chongsam girl, Mu Xener, sighed. Mu Yuansheng said, "Judging from Elder Yu Zhongtang's attitude toward us, it'll be very difficult to get the scarlet scorching pill. We don't seem to have anything in our family that can catch the Xianyuan cult's eye. Now that the Xianyuan cult's leader, Ji Lushui, is in seclusion, the highest position in the cult is the three supreme elders and Elder Yu Zhongtang. If we can get one of these four to help us, the possibility of getting the scarlet scorching pill will be much higher. But we don't have any contact with the Xianyuan cult. How can we get one of these four to help us?" The members of the Mu family all looked worried. "Since we can't get close to them directly, we'll use a roundabout strategy. Isn't that Mr. Li close to Yu Zhongtang? Let's start with him." Mu Xer immediately shook her head. "Impossible. We've already offended that young man. This path won't work." "Not necessarily." Mu Yuanqing's eyes wandered between Mu Xer and Mu Wan. "Since ancient times, heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. No matter who that Mr. Li is, he's just a hot-blooded young man. He didn't do anything to you at the auction that day, which shows that he's a man with a tender heart for the fairer sex. This is his weakness. As long as you two use a little trick, you'll definitely be able to make him listen to you. Then we can influence Yu Zhongtang through him and get the scarlet scorching pill." "Father, you mean to use a honey trap?" Mu Xen-er's eyes were filled with surprise. "But is that okay?" Mu Wan-er's eyes showed some hesitation. "What not okay about it? It's settled then. I'll find out where that Mr. Li lives in a while and invite him over for a drink tonight. At that time, it'll be up to you two sisters. A young man like him is easy to get hooked. This, father, are you going to sell us out just like that?" Mu Xen said with some resentment. "Of course not. You're both my daughters. It's just a show. Look at this." As he spoke, he took out a dark green pill. "Yellow Ridge pill." Mu Xer cried out in surprise. "That's right. When the time comes, mix this kind of medicinal pill into his wine. As long as he drinks it, he will fall into an illusion and think that something has happened between you two. This kind of medicinal pill can even trick a finger-profound realm expert. Now you guys should be relieved." Chapter 775. Li Chongsheng was sitting on a stone bench in the courtyard. Yu Zhongtang was carefully serving him. "Mr. Li, this is my collection of century-old wine. Please have a taste." Yu Zhongtang poured the wine for Li Chongsheng. At this moment, footsteps came from outside. Yu Zhongtang said coldly, "Who is it? How dare you trespass into my courtyard?" A young man came in. After seeing Yu Zhongtang, he reported, "I'm from the Mu clan. I'm here to invite Mr. Li to a banquet tonight." Mu clan's patriarch, Mu Yuansheng, When Yu Jingtang heard that the other party was looking for Li Changsheng, he naturally didn't dare to make a decision. He looked at Li Changsheng and asked, "Mr. Li, what do you think? Go back and tell Mu Yuansheng that I don't have time." Li Changsheng didn't have a good impression of the Mu clan. He directly rejected the invitation. The other party obviously wasn't willing to be rejected like this. "Mr. Li asked you to leave. Why aren't you leaving? Your Mu clan came to our Xianyuan cult and invited others. Do you really think you're here for a vacation?" Yu Jingtang snorted. The other party knew that Yu Jingtang was angry, so he didn't dare to say anything. He quickly nodded and left. In the Mu clan's courtyard, Mu Yuansheng was waiting for news. When he saw that the disciple he sent out came back, he immediately stood up and asked, "How was it? Did that Li Changsheng agree?" The disciple shook his head. "No, he refused our invitation. This guy didn't give me any face." Mu Yuansheng slammed his palm on the stone table. He was the dignified patriarch of the Mu clan. Being rejected when he took the initiative to invite someone made him feel like he had lost a lot of face. However, he didn't expect that he didn't have any good intentions. "What was he doing when you went there?" Mu Yuansheng took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. "I saw that Li Changsheng was drinking." Xianyuan cult's elder Yu Jingtang. "Was he in the courtyard?" "Yes, he was standing beside Li Changsheng. He seemed to be pouring wine for Li Changsheng." "Nonsense." Mu Yuansheng pointed at his nose and scolded, "You piece of trash. You can't even handle such a small matter. You don't have any observational skills. Who is Yu Jingtang? How could he pour wine for a young man? What have I been teaching you?" Seeing Mu Yuansheng fly into a rage, Mu Wan hurriedly comforted him. "Father, don't be angry. Brother Sun is also nervous about coming to the Xianyuan cult, so he can't observe properly." "Oomph, what piece of trash." Mu Yuansheng sat down angrily and rubbed his chin. Now that his plan had been disrupted, he had to think of another way. After the Mu family left, Li Changsheng had just drunk a glass of wine when a series of messy footsteps came from outside. Yu Zhongtang's eyes were cold. He wanted to curry favor with Li Changsheng and get Li Changsheng to remove the restriction on him. However, people kept coming to disturb him. "Who is it?" Yu Zhongtang said angrily. "Great Elder, please don't be angry." An old man in a white robe came in with a group of Xianyuan cult's disciples behind him. When he came in and saw Yu Zhongtang and Li Changsheng, who were as steady as Mount Tai, his face revealed some surprise, but it was quickly replaced by coldness. "So it's Elder Su. What brings Elder Su to my courtyard?" Although Yu Zhongtang was the great elder in the Xianyuan cult, there were still some people who didn't get along with him. Elder Su was one of them. Although Su Maolin was only in the Vajra realm and was much weaker than Yu Jingtang, his master was one of the three supreme elders in the sect. Therefore, he dared to go against Yu Jingtang. "Great Elder Yu, I heard that you brought back a guest. I think it must be the friend sitting here." "That's right." Yu Jingtang nodded. "A guest came to my Xianyuan cult to show off and injured an elder of my Xianyuan cult. Elder Ui Su Maolin, as the law enforcement elder of the Xianyuan cult, have to ask about the situation. It's just a misunderstanding. Elder Wang was almost beaten to death, but Elder Yu said it was a misunderstanding. I'm afraid it's not that simple." "That's right." Su Maolin gave a look to his subordinates. Immediately, some of them walked over to Li Changsheng and surrounded him. "What do you want?" Yu Jingtang's face immediately turned gloomy. "This Mr. Li injured my Xianyuan cult's disciple. I suspect that he was sent by an enemy of our Xianyuan cult. Therefore, I want to ask him to stay in the dungeon for a few days. After I investigate the matter, I will punish him according to the sect's laws." "No." Yu Jingtang sternly refused. "Su Maolin, this is my courtyard. Without my permission, no one can behave atrociously." "Elder Yu, you are making things difficult for me. Do you want me to ask the three supreme elders to uphold justice?" "Don't use the three supreme elders to pressure me. Today, no one can take Mr. Li away." Li Changsheng had placed a restriction on Yu Zhongtang's body. He was most afraid of others provoking Li Changsheng. As long as Li Changsheng wanted to, he would lose his life. Not to mention, with Li Changsheng's strength, perhaps only the sect master of the Xianyuan cult could compete with Li Changsheng. If he angered Li Changsheng at this time, what would he do if Li Changsheng started a massacre? He was protecting his own life and saving Su Maolin and the others. Unfortunately, Su Maolin didn't think so. Grand Elder, are you really going to act willfully? Su Maolin didn't expect Yu Jingtang to protect Li Changsheng like this. While he was shocked, he was even more furious. Grand Elder, have you considered the face of our Xianyuan cult before doing this? The will of our Xianyuan cult's disciples? I don't need you to question me. If you don't leave this courtyard, don't blame me for being impolite. All right. Su Maolin was so angry that he smiled and said, Grand Elder, let's wait and see. After speaking, he flung his sleeves and left. Very quickly, the people who came with Su Maolin also left. After blocking Su Maolin, Yu Jingtang didn't have any joy on his face. He knew that Su Maolin must have gone to complain to the three Supreme Elders. The three Supreme Elders' martial strength was almost the same as Yu Jingtang. However, the three Supreme Elders had high seniority. Once they came, Yu Jingtang wouldn't be able to stop them. At that time, he would have to clash with Li Changsheng. When he thought about how three-finger profound realm experts and over 20 Vajra realm experts were slaughtered by Li Changsheng, Yu Jingtang had mixed feelings. Mr. Li, you stay here and drink first. I will go out for a while. Finally, Yu Jingtang couldn't sit still and wanted to think of a way to stop this matter. All right, Li Changsheng naturally didn't care. His main purpose of coming here was Ji Lu Shui. As for the other disciples of the Xianyuan cult, they were still his disciples. He didn't need to kill them all. Of course, if these people wanted to provoke him, Li Changsheng didn't mind cleaning up the sect. After all, these people didn't have any loyalty to him. They were all Ji Liu Shui's minions. Not long after Yu Jingtang left, the courtyard's door was pushed open. Mr. Li, don't you feel bored drinking alone? Why don't I accompany you for a drink? It was Mu Wanner who walked in. One who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. The Mu clan first invited him for a drink. After he rejected, Mu Wanner came to him. Li Changsheng couldn't help but have a hint of mockery in his eyes. He wanted to see what the Mu clan wanted from him. Chapter 776. After Yu Jingtang left his courtyard, he went directly to the back mountain of the Xianyuan cult. At this moment, Su Maolin was also there. He was talking to the three Grand Elders. The three Grand Elders were also angry. When they saw Yu Jingtang, they didn't give him any face. Grand Elder Yu, I heard that you brought someone back from outside and injured Grand Elder Wang. Grand Elder Su asked you to hand him over, but you refused. Is that true? The one who spoke was the Grand Elder of the Xianyuan cult, Ko Shaoqing. As the vice hierarch of the Xianyuan cult, he was the highest-ranking Grand Elder after Ji Lu Shui. Even Yu Jingtang had to be respectful to him. Grand Elder Ko, there's a hidden story behind this. But you must listen to me. Don't go looking for trouble with him. Otherwise, it will bring disaster to our Xianyuan cult. Huh, how ridiculous. We have 4 profound finger realm cultivators in our Xianyuan cult. Plus, our hierarch is a powerful martial artist who can threaten our Xianyuan cult. Back in the days, our hierarch used various identities to challenge various sections. Now, no one in the cultivation world is a match for our hierarch. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him the most powerful person in the world. Yu Jingtang, who is that young man? You actually made up such a ridiculous lie to protect him? Ko Shaoqing asked coldly. Yu Jingtang didn't know how to answer. The restriction on him was still there. He didn't dare to go against Li Changsheng. Grand Elders, that Mr. Li's strength is terrifying. I'm afraid only our hierarch can control him. So, please don't act rashly. I have a plan. Nonsense. Yu Jingtang, your words are full of loopholes. Do you think we will believe you? Another Grand Elder, Sun Jingwang, interrupted Yu Jingtang. The dignity of our Xianyuan school cannot be offended. Those who beat up an elder of our Xianyuan school will be punished according to the rules of our Xianyuan school. Yu Jingtang, We will naturally report the matter of you shielding an outsider in the future. As for that guy, surnamed Li, we will not let him off easily." The three of them stood up at the same time. "Malin, lead the way. I want to see what kind of person, Grand Elder, you said only our hierarch can deal with." The one who spoke was Su Malin's master, Guiyang. Seeing that the three Grand Elders were determined to deal with Li Changsheng, Yu Zhongtang was so anxious that his forehead was covered with sweat. "Three Grand Elders, what I said is true. If you want to deal with Li Changsheng, it's best to call the sect master out from his seclusion. Otherwise, the three of you will only be sending yourselves to your deaths." However, the three of them only sneered at Yu Zhongtang's words. At this moment, in the courtyard, Mu Wan'er was holding an exquisite wine jug in her hand. She poured a cup of wine for herself and Li Changsheng. "Mr. Li, my elder sister offended you yesterday, so I'm here to apologize to you. Mr. Li is such a young master, yet you're already a master of refining. You're really admirable." Mu Wan'er had specially dressed up today. Her pure face carried a bit of charm, especially since it was close to dusk. The haze added a bit of color to her face. "I drank quite a bit this afternoon, so I won't be drinking anymore. Miss Wan'er, I accept your apology. If there's nothing else, please leave." Although Mu Wan'er usually disdained to use this kind of honey trap, she had always been very confident in her appearance. Now that she was asked to leave as soon as she arrived, she was slightly angry. "Mr. Li, don't be so heartless. I really admire you." Saying this, Mu Wan'er stood up and sat next to Li Changsheng. Her body was very close to Li Changsheng. Her faint fragrance entered Li Changsheng's nostrils. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't be able to resist, but Li Changsheng revealed a playful smile. "Is that so? So Miss Wan'er is interested in me?" Li Changsheng reached out and wrapped his arm around Mu Wan'er's waist. Suddenly, Mu Wan'er's body stiffened, and the expression on her face became unnatural. She wanted to break free from Li Changsheng's arm, but found that Li Changsheng was holding her very tightly. She couldn't help but blush and become a little angry. But when she met Li Changsheng's eyes and saw the playfulness in them, she instantly knew that she had been seen through. She bit her lip, which aroused her unwillingness to admit defeat. She directly leaned on Li Changsheng and hugged Li Changsheng's neck. "Mr. Li, why don't we drink a glass of wine?" "Sure. Miss Wan'er, as long as you're willing, we can even consummate our marriage right now." Li Changsheng raised his glass. Mu Wan'er's eyes revealed a cold smile. "Come, let's drink this." Seeing Li Changsheng drink the wine in his glass, Mu Wan'er couldn't help but smile. "Come, Miss Wan'er, let's continue drinking." Li Changsheng poured himself another glass. Mu Wan'er quietly poured away the wine in her glass. Li Changsheng drank several glasses in a row and seemed to be a little drunk. Mu Wan'er put his hand on Mu Wan'er's thigh, and her whole body stiffened. She had an impulse to push Li Changsheng away, but when she thought of her plan and her brother who was waiting for her to save his life at home, she immediately squeezed out a smile. The bottle of wine was quickly finished. According to her father's introduction, the drug would take effect in 10 minutes at most. Mu Wan'er counted in her heart, waiting for Li Changsheng to fall down. But 10 minutes, 20 minutes passed, and Li Changsheng still didn't move. At this time, Li Changsheng suddenly stood up, grabbed her hand, and said, "Miss Wan'er, it's cold outside. Why don't we go into the house and talk by the candlelight?" After that, he grabbed her and pulled her into the house. Mu Wan'er immediately pulled her hand out like a frightened deer, and then said, "Mr. Li, I suddenly remembered that I still have some things to do, so I won't accompany you." After that, she walked out of the courtyard in a panic. Li Changsheng couldn't help but laugh and shake his head, saying, "A little yellow millet pill wants to charm me. This Mu family really doesn't have any good intentions, but this little girl is quite interesting." Li Changsheng returned to the stone bench and sat down. Mu Wan'er ran out of the courtyard in a panic. Just as she was outside, a figure flashed out. Out was Wan'er. It was her sister Mu Xen. Did that Li Changsheng take the bait? "If you can't do it, I'll go." Hearing her sister's words, Mu Wan'er shook her head. "Sister, we underestimated this Li Changsheng too much. It's better to let father change the plan. Didn't he drink the yellow millet wine? No. Muwang shook her head. He drank the wine, but it didn't take effect after half an hour. How is that possible? Didn't father say that even a finger-profound realm expert would fall for it? Muexai frowned. This is why he's so scary. Even a finger-profound realm expert would fall for the pill, but it didn't work on him. So, I think it's very wrong of us to put our hopes on him. If he's even stronger than a finger-profound realm expert, then our family will be playing with fire. Impossible. Muexai shook her head. A finger-profound realm expert is already the peak of martial arts in the world. How can there be someone stronger than a finger-profound realm expert in the world? Just as the two of them were discussing, they heard a commotion. They looked up and saw a group of people on the road in the distance, walking toward them in a grandiose manner. 3 old men were in the lead, and their auras were extremely terrifying. Hundreds of Xianyuan school disciples followed behind them with murderous intent. Chapter 777. Mu Wan and Mu Xiner looked at the Xianyuan school's people with a puzzled expression. They didn't understand what was going on. The 3 old men in the lead have a very strong aura. Are they the supreme elders of the Xianyuan school? Mu Wan said with a surprised face. Look at their murderous look. There's only Li Changsheng in the courtyard. Are they looking for trouble with Li Changsheng? This is going to be a good show. While the 2 sisters were whispering, the Xianyuan school's people stopped at the courtyard's entrance. Li, get out here! Supreme Elder Ko Shaoqing roared, his voice shaking the earth. Su Maolin sneered. He had finally achieved his goal. Even Yu Zhengtang wouldn't be able to protect the 3 grand elders. Elder Ko, listen to my advice. Leave quickly. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. Yu Zhengtang advised with a worried face. Among the people present, only he knew how terrifying Li Changsheng's strength was. You with the surname Yu, shut your mouth. Don't talk nonsense here. Wait until I take care of that Li Changsheng, then I'll settle the score with you. Ko Shaoqing snorted. If Yu Zhengtang wasn't a finger-profound realm expert, he would have slapped him. Li Changsheng, who was in the courtyard, frowned when he heard the noise. With a creak, the courtyard's door opened. Li Changsheng walked out lazily. He looked at the aggressive people outside with a playful look in his eyes. I think I heard someone call me. What's the matter? Seeing Li Changsheng's appearance, Mu Xiner whispered to her sister, this guy probably doesn't know he's in trouble. He'll be in trouble soon. Mu Wan shook her head. Sister, I always feel that this Li Changsheng is very mysterious and strange. So what if he's mysterious and strange? Those 3 are Xianyuan school's grand elders, finger-profound realm experts. While the 2 of them were whispering to each other, Su Maolin had already stepped forward. He pointed at Li Changsheng and roared, Little brat, you are just a disciple of a foreign teacher. How dare you come to my Xianyuan cult and beat up Elder Wang? Kneel down and kowtow to accept your punishment. With the support of several grand elders, Su Maolin was filled with confidence. However, Li Changsheng didn't even look at him. You dare to ignore me? Su Maolin flew into a rage. He waved his hand to grab Li Changsheng. If Yu Zhengtang hadn't stopped him, he would have already attacked Li Changsheng. Now that Yu Zhengtang couldn't stop him, he was itching to attack. Rumble. Su Maolin was a Vajra realm martial artist, so his palm strike was quite imposing. As for Ko Shaoqing and the other grand elders, they were just quietly watching from the side. This was especially true for Guiyang, who was Su Maolin's master and had always been very confident in his disciple's strength. You don't know what's good for you. Facing Su Maolin's attack, Li Changsheng casually broke his attack, then grabbed Su Maolin's neck and pressed him to the ground. He slapped Su Maolin's head more than a dozen times. The Xianyuan sect had a special meaning to Li Changsheng. It was the only sect he had created, but Ji Lushui had erased all traces of him. At this moment, he felt like he was teaching an unfilial descendant a lesson. Even though Li Changsheng had already held back, Su Maolin's head was still swollen like a pig's head, and his teeth were flying everywhere. Stop it! "You arrogant bastard." Because the unforeseen event happened too quickly, by the time the crowd reacted, Su Maolin had already been beaten beyond recognition. The first one who couldn't help but attack was the Grand Elder, Guiyang. After all, Su Maolin was his personal disciple. At this moment, a sword was unsheathed from its scabbard and turned into a rainbow light, slashing directly at Li Changsheng. A finger-profound realm expert has attacked. This Li Changsheng is finished this time. Mu Shiner was so scared that she pulled her sister back to hide. A finger-profound realm expert's attack was very lethal, and they were afraid of being caught in the crossfire. At the side, Ko Xiaoqing was surprised by Li Changsheng's strength when he defeated Su Maolin, but he didn't take it seriously. Su Maolin was only in the Vajra realm. Although there was only one realm between the Vajra realm and the finger-profound realm, this one realm was the difference between immortals and mortals. Guiyang's sword didn't hit Li Changsheng. At this moment, Yu Jingtang attacked. He waved his hand and formed a huge energy shield, blocking Guiyang's attack. "Elder Gu, don't be rash." Yu Jingtang didn't have a good impression of Su Maolin, so he didn't stop him just now. However, Guiyang was different. Guiyang was the true mainstay of the Xianyuan sect. He knew that if Li Changsheng attacked, Guiyang would definitely die. He was protecting Guiyang. However, no one could understand his actions, especially Guiyang. His eyes were burning with anger. "Yu Jingtang, you traitor. Get out of my way, or I'll kill you too." Guiyang was extremely angry. He couldn't tolerate his disciple being beaten like this. "I won't." Yu Jingtang shook his head. "Elder Gu, I'm saving you. If Mr. Li attacks, you'll die." "Huh?" Guiyang laughed out of anger. "Yu Jingtang, are you kidding me? Do you think I'll believe this nonsense?" "Elder Gu, Li Changsheng is the new #1 expert in the world." Hearing this, Guiyang laughed out loud. "Yu Jingtang, stop joking. Only our sect master is qualified to be the #1 expert in the world. Who does he think he is?" The 3 Grand Supreme Elders were in seclusion all year round, so they didn't know what was happening in the outside world. However, after Yu Jingtang finished speaking, the faces of a few higher-ups in the crowd changed slightly. One of them hurried forward. Ko Xiaoqing said, "Grand Supreme Elder, there's indeed a young expert in the world of cultivation recently. He's very powerful. I think his surname is Li." This caused Ko Xiaoqing to be slightly surprised. However, he still shook his head and said, "So what? The young experts in the world of cultivation are like bamboo shoots after a rain. Every once in a while, a prodigy will appear, but that's all. Those so-called prodigies aren't worth mentioning at all in front of a finger-profound realm expert. Elder Yu, step aside. Since Elder Gu wants to attack me, I'll give him a chance. I'd like to see what the Changshan sect has achieved under Ji Lushui." The Changshan sect? Yu Jingtang was stunned. He didn't know how to react. It was the Xianyuan sect. What did it have to do with the Changshan sect? However, he didn't see that Ko Xiaoqing's face changed instantly after hearing Li Changsheng's words. He stared at Li Changsheng's face. His expression changed. In the end, he seemed to have discovered something terrifying. His eyes were filled with shock. Just as he was about to speak, Guiyang had already made his second move. This time, it was obviously many times more powerful than the first move. Yu Jingtang hesitated for a moment. In the end, he obediently stepped aside. He knew that no matter what he said, it would be useless. It was hard for others to believe that a young man like Li Changsheng could be so terrifying. If he continued to block, he might be killed by the Grand Supreme Elder of his sect before Li Changsheng could help him remove the restriction on him. "Wait a minute," Ko Xiaoqing suddenly spoke. However, Guiyang's sword light had already reached Li Changsheng's head. Chapter 778. Seeing that the sword light was about to hit Li Changsheng's head, Guiyang's face was already filled with pride. It was as if he could already see the scene of Li Changsheng being cut in half by his sword light. Many of the Xianyuan school's disciples had a carefree look in their eyes, especially Su Maolin. He had just been beaten up by Li Changsheng, which was a great humiliation to him. Now, He could finally get his revenge. Muwaner couldn't help but turn her head to the side. She couldn't bear to see the bloody scene that was about to unfold. Mu Shiner shook her head. This Li Chongqing only has himself to blame. Running into the Xinyuan school and injuring their elder. Isn't he courting death? Just when everyone present was having different thoughts, the sword light that was about to hit Li Chongqing's head suddenly stopped. Li Chongqing stretched out 2 fingers and firmly clamped the sword body. How could this be? Everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. Using 2 fingers to catch the attack of a finger-profound realm expert. This was simply something that had never been heard of before. Grand Elder Guiyang's face also changed greatly. He hurriedly exerted his strength, trying to pull his sword back. However, he found that the sword seemed to have grown together with Li Chongqing's fingers. No matter how much strength he exerted, he couldn't move it at all. Since you want your sword back, I'll give it to you. Li Chongqing smiled coldly. The fingers that were clamping the sword trembled slightly. A terrifying energy was transmitted along the sword body into Guiyang's body. Pucci, under the powerful force, Guiyang's arm exploded into a cloud of blood mist in an instant. Then, Li Chongqing gently patted Guiyang's chest with his palm. Guiyang spat out blood from his mouth. He drew a beautiful parabola in the air and fell dozens of meters away. His body was constantly wriggling on the ground. Blood mixed with pieces of his internal organs gushed out from his mouth. It was obvious that he wouldn't survive. The scene fell into silence. Everyone who witnessed this scene felt a chill in their hearts. That's a profound finger expert. He was actually heavily injured by Li Chongqing in an instant. It's simply terrifying. At this moment, Sun Jingguang, who was about to help Guiyang after he was injured, stopped in his tracks. Guiyang's strength was about the same as his, yet he ended up like this. If he were to make a move, the outcome would probably be the same. Elder Gu is dead. What should we do? As he spoke, he looked at Ko Xiaoqing. Even he had no idea what to do now. In his eyes, Li Chongqing's ordinary face was no different from a devil's. Ko Xiaoqing didn't pay any attention to him. He just stared at Li Chongqing. His expression was one of excitement, fear, and mixed emotions. He's actually this strong. Mu Xian's beautiful eyes widened. Mu Wan, who had already turned her head to the side, cautiously turned her head back. When she saw Li Chongqing standing in the same place, unscathed, she doubted her eyes. Sister, what's going on? Upon hearing her sister's voice, Mu Xian recovered from her shock and said, Sister, you missed a wonderful show just now. The Xinyuan school's grand elder, a profound finger expert, Guiyang, was beaten to this state by Li Chongqing. No way. Mu Wan'er's cherry mouth opened slightly. Her face was full of disbelief. Although she felt that Li Chongqing was extraordinary, she never thought that even a profound finger expert was no match for Li Chongqing. After a moment of silence, the disciples of the Xinyuan school burst into an uproar. They were filled with righteous indignation that a dignified grand elder was beaten to this state. However, no matter how angry they were, no one dared to rush forward. Perhaps some of them really weren't afraid of death, but that didn't mean that they wanted to die. If those loyal ministers in history who sacrificed their lives for the country were asked to choose a lighter death, they probably wouldn't be willing to. It was obvious that if even Guiyang ended up like this, the others would only be courting death if they rushed forward. How is this possible? How is this possible? Master, Su Maolin cried bitterly. He only felt that the world was spinning. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Su Maolin cried loudly, snot and tears running down his face. Guiyang was his Shifu. As long as Guiyang was still in Xinyuan cult, Su Maolin's position in Xinyuan cult would be unshakable. Now that Guiyang was dead, his biggest backer was gone. Su Maolin was not only grieving for his Shifu's death, but also for his own uncertain future. Why are you crying? You're so annoying. Li Chongqing, who was a few meters away, sent out a palm strike. Under the surging wind, Su Maolin was smashed into pieces. Under the impact of the strong wind, a deep pit a few meters deep appeared where he was standing. Seeing this scene, Everyone subconsciously swallowed a mouthful of saliva and felt a chill in their hearts. Too cruel. Elder Ko, you must punish the murderer. All the disciples looked at Ko Shaoqing. As the second most powerful person in the Xianyuan school, Ko Shaoqing had become everyone's only hope. Even Sun Jingwang was waiting for Ko Shaoqing's decision. Ko Shaoqing walked step by step toward Li Changsheng. Just when everyone thought that he was going to attack Li Changsheng, they saw that he was only 5 steps away from Li Changsheng, and with a plop sound, he knelt on the ground. Master Li, is it you? Is it really you? Seeing Grand Elder Ko Shaoqing's actions, everyone was dumbfounded. What's going on? Why is Elder Ko kneeling to the enemy and calling him master? Isn't the master of the Xianyuan school Ji Lu Shui? Your hall master, Ko? Li Changxing stared at Ko Shaoqing for a long time and finally remembered something. When Li Changsheng founded the Changsheng school, Ko Shaoqing was one of the 8 hall masters. Because of his talent, he was trusted by Li Changsheng. Later, after Li Changsheng failed to pass the heavenly tribulation, Ji Lu Shui changed the doctrine of the Xianyuan sect and eliminated the dissidents. Many direct descendants of the sect were excluded by him. Of course, some people chose to follow Ji Lu Shui and became the backbone of the newly established Xianyuan sect. Ko Shaoqing could become a grand elder because of the latter. Li Changxing's face fell. Ko Shaoqing, you still have the face to call me master? Hearing Li Changxing's words, Ko Shaoqing's doubts disappeared and he hurriedly kowtowed to Li Changsheng. I was wrong. All these years, I dare not forget master's great kindness. I joined the evil and helped the evil. Please punish me. Looking at Ko Shaoqing's tearful appearance, Li Changxing knew that Ko Shaoqing was truly remorseful. After all, everyone made mistakes once in a while. Ko Shaoqing, let me ask you, after you joined Ji Lu Shui, have you done anything to harm your fellow disciples? Li Changxing stared at Ko Shaoqing's eyes. Under his powerful divine sense, if Ko Shaoqing was lying, he would not be able to escape his perception. If Ko Shaoqing really did harm to his fellow disciples, even if he regretted it now, Li Changsheng would not hesitate to kill him. No, I definitely didn't. Ko Shaoqing hurriedly shook his head. I joined Ji Lu Shui and betrayed the sect master. Every day, I live in guilt and self-blame. How could I dare to harm my fellow disciples? Hearing Ko Shaoqing's words, the coldness in Li Changxing's eyes dissipated a little. Hearing the conversation between the two of them, the surrounding people were confused. They had no idea what was going on. Chapter 779. Where is Ji Lu Shui? Li Changsheng asked coldly. Ko Shaoqing said, the sect master has been in seclusion for many years and hasn't shown up. Take me to him. Yes. Ko Shaoqing didn't dare to disobey Li Changsheng's order. He took Li Changsheng to the back mountain of the Xianyuan cult. Elder Ko, what are you doing? Are you going to betray the sect master? Sun Jingguang stopped him. Elder Sun, there are many things you don't know. Get out of the way, and I'll explain it to you later. Hearing Ko Shaoqing's words, Sun Jingguang shook his head and said, No, Elder Ko, I won't allow you to do anything to betray the sect master. You. Ko Shaoqing still wanted to persuade him, but Li Changsheng waved his hand impatiently. With a bang, Sun Jingguang was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. He landed on the ground and spat out blood. Let's go. Li Changxing's voice was indifferent and emotionless. Ko Shaoqing looked at Sun Jingguang guiltily and then led Li Changsheng to the back mountain. Along the way, the disciples of the Xianyuan cult took the initiative to make way for them. No one dared to stop them. The two came to a cave residence in the back mountain. There was a formation outside the cave residence, and a black door was faintly discernible in the formation. Ji Lu Shui is in seclusion inside. Ko Shaoqing lowered his head and said, He hasn't come out since he entered the door. Ko Shaoqing wanted to say something, but stopped. If you have something to say, just say it. Li Changxing frowned and said, Sometimes I even wonder if Ji Lu Shui died inside because something went wrong during his seclusion. Li Changsheng didn't say anything but stepped forward. When he arrived in front of the formation, he raised his hand and put it down. With a rumbling sound, the entire back mountain shook. Many rocks that would take 2 people to wrap their arms around rolled down from the top of the mountain. The matrix that Ji Lushui had set up around the house was also completely broken by this palm. After the matrix was broken, the appearance of the stone door behind it was completely revealed. It could be seen that there were 2 door gods engraved on the stone door. They were very imposing and imposing. However, when Li Changsheng saw the door god's face clearly, his face could not help but become gloomy because it was clearly his own face. The other door god was dressed differently, but his face was still Li Changsheng's. This Ji Lushui, not only did he betray his master, he even carved my portrait as a door god. What traitor! Li Changsheng raised his palm and mercilessly smashed the 2 stone doors into smithereens. After a cloud of dust, a pitch-black cave was revealed. Without any hesitation, Li Changsheng strode in. After about a dozen steps, he saw another small stone door. Once again, he mercilessly opened the stone door and saw a stone room used for seclusion. There was a futon and a few books in the stone room, but it was empty. Ji Lushui was nowhere to be seen. What's going on? Li Changsheng frowned and could not help but look at Ko Shaoqing next to him. Ko Shaoqing hurriedly waved his hand. Master Li, I don't know what happened. At this moment, Li Changsheng found a letter next to the futon. On it was written, Master Li Changsheng. What kind of trick is this Ji Lushui playing? Li Changsheng picked up the envelope and took out the letter inside. He saw a few lines of delicate and pretty handwriting. Ji Lushui was very talented in writing. His handwriting was very clean and pleasing to the eye. Master, I've long predicted that you might not be dead. With my prestige in the Xinyuan school, those subordinates wouldn't dare to open the stone room without permission. It means that either this letter will never see the light of day, or you've come back and opened the stone room. I'll take it that you're still alive for the time being. Will you be angry when you see the current situation of the Xinyuan school? I erased all traces of you to tell you that if you can establish the Changshang school, I can also turn it into the Xinyuan school. A disciple does not have to be inferior to his master. Right now, I'm already half a step into the Earth Xiantian realm. By the time you read this letter, it might have been 5 years, 10 years, or even longer. By then, I should have broken through to the legendary Earth immortal realm, surpassing this master of yours. If you're willing to respectfully address me as fellow Taoist the next time we meet, then I can protect you on account of the fact that you taught me the Tao. The world's #1 expert, Ji Lushui. Seeing these words at the end, Li Changsheng could not help but snort. However, he was very unhappy now. It was not easy to find Ji Lushui. He wanted to clean up the Xinyuan school, but he did not expect to only see this letter. Ji Lushui, this traitorous disciple, said that he would protect him. How arrogant! Master, what did Ji Lushui say in the letter? Ko Shaoqing asked carefully. He saw Li Changsheng's gloomy face and felt a little scared. Nothing. Li Changsheng waved his hand and a flame ignited in the air, burning the letter to ashes. Let's go. Li Changsheng glanced at the stone room and turned to walk out of the cave residence. Ko Shaoqing hurriedly followed beside him and asked in a low voice, Master, now that you have returned, are you going to take over the position of master again and change the Xinyuan school to the Changsheng school? Hearing Ko Shaoqing's words, Li Changsheng shook his head. The current Xinyuan sect no longer has the slightest shadow of the Changsheng sect. Apart from the cultivation method that was once passed down by me, it has almost nothing to do with me anymore. So, whether or not I'm the sect master doesn't matter much. While talking, the two walked out of the cave residence. There were many figures standing outside the cave residence. They were all disciples of the Xinyuan school. Among these people, in addition to the great elder son Jingwang, there were 9 men with strong auras. The moment he saw these 9 people, Ko Shaoqing's face changed slightly. With a little worry, he said to Li Changsheng, Master Li, These people are Liu disciples. All of them are very talented. Although they're not in the finger-profound realm, the 9 of them practice a kind of formation which is very powerful. And I want to beg you to be merciful to them and not kill them. Hearing Ko Shaoqing's words, Li Changsheng sneered and said, "Why? They are Liu disciples, which is equivalent to traitors. They are the future of the Xinyuan school. If they die, the Xinyuan school will really collapse." After Lu Shui went into seclusion, Ko Shaoqing took full control of the Xinyuan school. At the same time, he had deep feelings for the Xinyuan school. It was like a person raising a child from a young age. Even if the child was not their biological son and was only picked up from the streets, they would still treat him as their biological son. In Ko Shaoqing's heart, the Xinyuan school was like his own son. Naturally, he did not want Li Changsheng to destroy the future of the Xinyuan school. While the two were talking, the 9 people had formed a formation and approached Li Changsheng step by step. "Audacious thief! You dare to behave atrociously in my Xinyuan sect? Quickly surrender." That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.